our City of Southfield regular meeting of October 25th at 6 o'clock via WebEx. Councilman Lloyd Cruz is excused for this evening. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Banks.
Present.
Brightwell.
Here.
Cruz. Frazier.
Here.
Hoskins.
Here.
Mandelbaum.
Present.
Taylor.
Here.
Madam President, you do have a quorum of excusing Councilman Cruz.
Thank you. I'll now say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight we have two presentations. Our first presentation is a joint presentation with the joint resolution for Dr. Migdal Day here on Friday, November the 12th. Mayor Cyber, are you on the call?
Yes, I am. Good evening, Council. As I'm sure you're all aware, after a distinguished career, both at Oakland University and for the last 10 years at Lawrence Tech, Dr. Barander Modgill will be retiring at the end of this semester. And there is a dinner being held to honor Dr. Modgill on November 12th. The university is not on the call tonight, but I wanted to get this resolution, if you're so inclined, to pass this joint resolution honoring Dr. Modgill. As our plan is to present it to him at the retirement dinner on November 12th. Madam Chair, it is your pleasure. I can read the resolution, or I know the council has a copy of it in their packet, or we can just approve it as is. It's your call. I'm happy to read the resolution.
I think we should read it so that the residents will know for all of the, for the benefit of everyone that might not be at the dinner. Thank you.
Okay, that's a great suggestion. Thank you. So I'll proceed. This is a joint resolution declaring November 12th, 2021 as Dr. Barander K. Modgill Day in the city of Southfield. Whereas Dr. Barander Modgill's education includes a PhD in zoology and biochemistry from Banaras Hindu University in India in 1972, postdoctoral work in molecular medicine at the Mayo Clinic, 73 to 76, and the Harvard Institute for Educational Management in 2006. And whereas Dr. Modgill's professional experience includes visiting scientists, lab hormones, University of Paris, 1983-84, the work at the Boris Kidrick Institute of Nuclear Sciences in Belgrade, 1988, consultant to the United Nations in Bombay, India, 1989, senior vice president for academic affairs and provost at Oakland University, where he co-chaired the steering committee that developed the Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine, 2001 to 2012. Whereas Dr. Modgill has served as Lawrence Technological's 7th president from 2012 to 2021, overseeing a period of significant growth and improvement in campus facilities, programs, fundraising, and community outreach. He operated under the mantra, it's all about the students, and has led the faculty and his management team to advance programs and services that focus on that goal. And whereas Dr. Modgill has also championed research and scholarship traditions at LTU, emphasizing undergraduate basic and applied research and strengthening global outreach. And whereas campus life has greatly improved through the expansion of student housing, student activities and doubling of the athletic teams, including football, which returned to LTU after a hiatus of 72 years. And whereas Dr. Modko provided extraordinary service to Lawrence Technological University during the COVID-19 pandemic, which demonstrated his commitment to pursue steady progress in academic accomplishments, even in these challenging times. And whereas on November 12, 2021, Lawrence Technological University and the entire Southfield community will reflect on the successful career of Verinder K. Modko and wish him a long, happy, and healthy retirement. And now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the mayor and council of the city of Southfield, County of Oakland, state of Michigan, do hereby declare November 12th, 2021, and as Verinder K. Modko Day in the city of Southfield. And be it further resolved that the mayor and council of the city of Southfield pay tribute to Dr. Modko and thank him for his dedication and service to the faculty, students, and alumni of LTU, and wish him the best in retirement. So,
Thank
Madam
you,
Chair, I would ask for council's approval.
Mr. President, Madam President,
Yes.
go ahead, Dan.
Oh, well, Madam Chair, I would like to move that we approve the resolution as printed. And since I've been on council, got to know Dr. Modgill. He's a good man, a good educator, and he's a friend of Southfield.
Support.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councilman Brightwell, supported by Councilman Frazier, for the approval of the presentation of the joint resolution for Dr. Verinder M. Modko Day on Friday, November the 12th. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Brightwell,
Yes.
Frazier,
Yes.
Haskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
and Banks.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. We have a presentation of a proclamation, Extra Mile Day, November 1st. Mayor?
Thank you again, and thank you for approving the Modko Day. I've done this every year for the past 6 years as mayor. There's a national movement, a foundation that promotes recognition of people in communities across the United States who go the extra mile. In other words, they're extraordinary volunteers to make a difference in their communities. And so this evening, there are 6 people that I would, Southfield residents, that I would like to acknowledge in this presentation. So extra mile, and this is, since we're not meeting on November 1st, I'm asking for this presentation this evening. So I'll read the following. Whereas Southfield, Michigan is a community which acknowledges that a special vibrancy exists within the city and appreciates its citizens when they go the extra mile in personal effort, service, and volunteerism. Whereas Southfield is a community which encourages its citizens to maximize their personal contributions to the community by giving of themselves, such as supporting the efforts of the Big Ray, Friends of Southfield Public Arts, the annual Martin Luther King Peace Walk, Southfield Goodfellows, and so on and so forth, or by serving on an advisory or neighborhood association board wholeheartedly and with total effort, commitment, and conviction to their individual ambitions, family, friends, and community. And whereas Southfield is a community which chooses to shine a light on and celebrate individuals, organizations within the community who go the extra mile in order to make a difference and lift up fellow members of our city. And whereas Southfield salutes 2021 Extra Mile honoree Brianna Alexander for her ongoing commitment to high school students. Brianna established a nonprofit, Detroit Speak Up, a college and career readiness program providing workshops, resources, scholarships, and leadership opportunities for young people who have a voice and to help them have a voice rather and to excel. And whereas Southfield salutes Extra Mile honoree M. Jane Roberts, a Southfield resident and member of St. David Episcopal Church. She is the servant to all people and an activist and advocate for social justice and change. M. Jane Roberts compiled a very touching memorial book honoring people of color, men and women, brown and black, whose lives ended violently at the hands of law enforcement officers. It was written to inspire reflection and action. And whereas Southfield salutes 2021 Extra Mile honorees Zell Randall and Avis Randall, the mother and daughter team who founded the nonprofit Living Brave Through Breast Cancer. This organization supports women and men who have been diagnosed with breast cancer and have struggled emotionally, mentally, and financially. The program educates people on early detection and sponsors breast cancer screening events. And whereas Southfield salutes 2021 Extra Mile honorees Barbara and Thomas Latimer, who established a grassroots nonprofit, the Tamara Latimer Cancer Foundation, to honor the legacy of their 21-year-old daughter who lost her battle to cancer. The organization is dedicated to the prevention, treatment, cure, and care of pediatric and young adult cancer patients and families by providing support services, resources, funds. Additionally, the Tamara Latimer Foundation provides scholarships to college students in pursuit of a career in any area of medicine. And whereas an Extra Mile honoree demonstrates that one person can make a difference, bring about positive change, and improve the quality of life for the Southfield community at large. And now, therefore, that I, Kent Stiver, Mayor of City of Southfield, County of Oakland, State of Michigan, do hereby proclaim November 1st, Extra Mile Day in the City of Southfield, and proudly recognize Brianna Alexander, M. Jane Roberts, Zell and Avis Randall, and Barbara and Thomas Latimer for their ongoing extra mile through their personal contributions and dedicated service and volunteerism. On the line are, I believe, the 6 honorees. And if Brianna Alexander would like to speak, Madam Clerk, I provided her number for you.
Okay, so far we have Ms. Randall on the line.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, ma'am, both Avis and myself. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having us.
Good evening.
This is Avis Randall. Good evening. This is Avis Randall and Zell Randall. Thank you all so much for allowing us to have this opportunity to share a moment in time with the city of Southfield and the mayor, Stiver. I am so honored to be on this line with you all. My daughter is honored to be on this line with you all. I'm just ecstatic over this opportunity.
Well,
We want to say thank you from the bottom of our heart for honoring us. It's a great pleasure. Lets us know that we're doing, great things within our city, and to have the backing of our mayor and the council members is a dream come true. So we sincerely appreciate each and every last one of you. Yes.
Well,
thank you. Thank you both. And I do want to mention that Zell and Avis Randall were part of our October 6th, part of our breast cancer awareness and prevention press conference that we held on the front steps of City Hall. And of course, it's still Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and they have done a number of activities this month to promote early detection as well as breast cancer awareness. So we thank you both for that. Madam Clerk, do we have anybody else on the line?
Mr. Mayor, at this time, no one else with those prescribed phone numbers that you gave me is on the line.
Okay. I do want to mention M. Jane Roberts, as Chief Barron and I were invited to, I think it was early September, late August, but I'm not recalling the exact date. But anyhow, we were invited to a program at St. David's Church, and it's an interactive memorial of violence against people of color for reflection and change. And the book is entitled "Remember Them," and it profiles 98 people as young as 3 years old who have died due to police excessive force. We were extremely touched by this memorial because not only did Ms. Roberts write the book and profile the 98 individuals, and many of the names you know, and there are a whole number that I think are forgotten people. But part of the exhibit, and I'd love to see this come to the city hall, is there are stand-up grave markers that have the name of the person, the date, where they're from, their birth and death dates, and it's quite. It sort of reminds me of the AIDS Quilt Memorial, where these lives are remembered. It's unfortunately they're past, but it does bring, in a sense, life back to them. And then Thomas and Barbara Latimer, their cancer foundation. The thing that's really unique about this is that they provide not only help to cancer patients, but to the families. Many times, a person ill with cancer puts a strain on the entire family, and it may be an emotional strain as well as the financial. And so the Latimer Foundation, and why I'm highlighting both Living Brave Through Breast Cancer as well as the Latimer Foundation is because while I'm very happy personally to support the American Cancer Foundation, these are people who are in the trenches in Southfield helping Southfield residents through the hardship that and the struggle emotionally, mentally, physically that cancer can have. And so they do everything from paying for medications, rides to doctor visits, providing food, utility bill payment, whatever a family that's going through this needs. So they've been doing this for a long, long time. And I felt tonight was a good time, especially during Breast Cancer Month, to recognize both of all four of these individuals. So thank you, Council, for allowing me to present this evening. And these are our 2021 Extra Mile Day honorees.
Thank you. Is there anything that the council, we don't need to vote on this. This is just your presentation to us?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you very much. Council, I will ask, is there anyone that have any comments or anything on either presentation?
Yeah, I'd like to say something.
Yes, Councilman Frazier.
Yeah, it's so amazing when someone steps out and is head and shoulders above the rest of the crowd, that's willing to do something for people they don't even know, and people that they may never know, but it is sorely needed in a community to reach out and make life easier, because having someone with cancer in your home is, as the mayor has said, is very stressful. And I want to be the first one in line to thank them for doing what they do. And I'm sure they're not doing it for any thanks, but they deserve all the thanks they can get. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none. Thank you again, and thank you all the recipients for going the extra mile. Thank you so much. Next, we have appointments.
Yes, thank you, Councilman Frazier, for those remarks. And I would like to ask the council to approve the appointment of Sala White. This, as you know, the Public Arts Commission is made up of 11 people. There is a mayoral vacancy. There are council appointments and mayor appointments. We lost a very good commissioner, Brian Crago, who changed employment, and now his new job takes him to Ann Arbor. So he's not as available to serve as and Southfield Public Arts Commission commissioner. So I'm asking council to approve the appointment of a young lady that you have her application, and she was part of the Southfield photo prize. So I'm very glad that she's expressed an interest in joining this commission.
Thank you. Is Ms. White on the line? Would she like to make a comment or? Okay.
We did contact her as we did the others, so gave them the option of calling in.
Okay. Oh, no worries. Okay. Council?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
This is Councilman Mandelbaum. I'd like to move the appointment of Sala White to the Public Arts Commission.
Support, Councilwoman Banks.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councilman Mandelbaum, supported by Councilwoman Banks, to approve the appointment to the Southfield Public Arts Commission of Ms. Sala White. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Frazier,
Yes.
Haskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
and Brightwell.
Yes.
Thank you, council.
Thank you. Next, we have 3 sets of minutes for our approval. We have our regular meeting minutes of September 20th, 2021, our regular meeting minutes of September 27th, 2021, our committee of the whole meeting minutes of October 12th, 2021. Are there any questions? Would any council member want any of these items pulled for further discussion, or can we go ahead with the motion?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
This is Councilman Mandelbaum. I'd like to move the approval of the minutes as presented.
Support.
Thank you.
Mayor?
It's been moved. I'm sorry.
I said Myron Frazier.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councilman Mandelbaum, supported by Councilman Frazier, for the approval of 3 sets of minutes: the regular minutes of September 20th, the regular minutes of September 27th, and the committee of the whole meetings of October 12th. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Frazier,
Yes.
Haskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
and Brightwell.
Yes.
Thank you. We have nothing under the consent agenda. Next, we have our public hearings. Our first public hearing is PSLU 21-0007, which is special use request of Enterprise Leasing Company of Detroit.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Good evening, Council, Mayor, and Administration. The first item on your agenda this evening from Planning is the special use request, PSLU 21-0007 for Enterprise Leasing Company of Detroit. The parcel before you this evening is a vacant parcel on the corner of Garner and Telegraph Road, which would be the northwest corner. It is currently zoned I-1 industrial, and the special land use in particular is to allow for an automobile and leasing company rental office on this particular property. Next slide. This is a closer look at the property. It is owned by Progressive Insurance Company, and you can see that it does have the Bradford Academy School directly to the west, and then some industrial uses both to the north and to the south on the opposite side of Garner Street. Next slide. Property is zoned both industrial and does have a little sliver of vehicular parking at the northwest corner of the property. The future land use map shows Southfield Technology Corridor for this site. Next slide. This is the site plan for the property, although keep in mind that council is not approving a site plan. You're only approving the special land use to allow for the rental office. But this does show the proposed future layout of the property with the proposed building, office that would be nearest Telegraph Road. The accessory building would be basically be used for, if I recall, washing of rental vehicles. They do have providing for stormwater management on the site through rain gardens, both at what would be the northeast corner of the property, as well as along the west property line and the property line fronting Garner Street. They also have a proposed detention basin along Telegraph Road as well. And again, all these would serve their stormwater needs. They also are providing significant new landscaping on the property, from trees to shrubs, and some additional sidewalks as well within the area. Next slide. This is just a black and white version of what you saw in the colored version previously. Next slide. Now these indicate the office building elevations with the tan color, with the very rugged material along the base of the building on all four sides. Next slide. And this is the accessory building, the one in the back, that would serve for car washes and other maintenance issues on the building or for vehicles. Next slide. Okay, so that at least is the end of Planning Department's presentation. Mr. Ashby Donahue and Ms. Allison Bishop are both on the line this evening to add to the presentation as they see fit.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Ashby Donahue. I'm with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. We're looking to develop this 3-acre site. Enterprise has been we've operated in Southfield for over 20 plus years now. We've had 2 separate locations on Telegraph Road in that 2-year period, roughly about a mile away from where we are today. We operated on one side of the road, outgrew that, literally moved across the street to the old printing shop, built that out, upfitted that, and I've operated there for about the past 6 years. We're looking to add our truck line. We've outgrown that location, so we are looking for a piece of property that is large enough to where we could find a permanent home for the foreseeable future. So we think this 3-acre site will do that for us, and we're looking to improve that property. and continue being local business partners in the city of Southfield for a long time to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there someone else that wanted to comment as well? Okay.
I don't think so. Sorry.
Okay. I thought he mentioned two people were on the line. I'm sorry. This being a public hearing, I will now declare the public hearing open. If there's anyone on the line that wishes to speak to this particular topic, the special land use request of Enterprise, please press star 3. I'm sorry.
Am I on the line now?
Yes, hi.
Hello, my name's Fred Bunker. I am the nearest resident living on the south side of Garner to the west. And I like the idea. I think you're going to have trouble with traffic. There's a SEMTA bus stop right below where it says special land use. And this is where the car traffic from a 1,500 plus charter school comes and goes. I hope they've looked at the logistics traffic-wise. But just regarding the environment and this flooding that's going on, I'd like to remind the people, I went online, and 1 inch of rain creates 27,000 gallons of water per acre. I like the idea of the greenery. The sketched in at the back is vague. These bushes at the front, I think, may cause too many people pull out of Garner in a big hurry. And I think these shrubs all along the front should be at least 50 feet back from Telegraph. But yearly, you're going to get about 1 million gallons of water from a 35-inch average on 3 acres. So there's a lot of rain that comes down. I took a picture of that pond out in front. It was a 3-foot hole, and it was filled with water for days after our June record-setting event. I'm concerned that any more paving in the city is going to just, make the problem south of here worse. I'd like to see some sort of a bigger picture, but as for this development, good luck. With McBee's closing, it's kind of looks like a ghost town in Telegraph with no tax revenue really new that I can tell. And this property's been vacant for 30 years. So, yeah, anything you can do to make the deer stop crossing my street and being run over there. It's the only solution for the deer problem is that they cross the street down here at your southwest corner, and they're grazing on green. I seeded that property with years ago when it was a dirt road, and the parking lot, the school is 13 million gallons of water that falls on the property the school owns in a year. And they have retention ponds, but when it's raining and you're getting, 27,000 gallons in an inch of rain, and what we just had for 2 or 3 inches, it's a sizable amount. So I hope they've designed this, and we're going to start thinking about our neighbors to the south, because this is going to exacerbate the flooding no matter where. Let's do everything possible, maybe some rain devices on the buildings to feed into the plants. Everything you can do to make it more permeable, as the word has been used, would help.
Thank you, Mr.
Because
Bunker.
my side of the street is
Thank you,
flooding
Mr.
like crazy.
Bunker. Thank you,
Thank
Mr. Bunker. I'm sorry. Your 3 minutes is up. Thank you very much.
Yes, I believe it. I'm sorry.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to this topic?
Pamela Gerald, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 48037-0155. My telephone number is 248-346-0439. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. We might want to just be a little bit more sensitive and cognizant of the fact that when a person is midstream in between a sentence, that they can at least be afforded
the decency and the respect to finish their statement, because we have to listen to so much banter back and forth from people that don't read the material and that are not knowledgeable about what's being discussed at this meeting. I remember there was a Enterprise rent-a-car that was operated out of Art Moran on Telegraph. There was one on Telegraph down there by the old Chevrolet dealership. And I think there was one at one point right where the Tamaroff dealership is, when that was a Goodyear tire store. I don't quite remember if I remember that correctly, but I do like Enterprise Rent-A-Car. The problem I'm concerned with is the fact that you're opening up an Enterprise Rent-A-Car Company of Detroit on behalf of the owner, Progressive Casualty Insurance Group. So it sounds like this is a franchise and not a corporate store. Is that the best and only location that this company could have found in Southfield? If it's already zoned an industrial, is it appropriate to put a car rental place in an industrial zone? And I have to say that I agree with some of Fred Bunker's concerns. That's already a high traffic, hot, messy area with the school. We've had a child hit and killed over in that area due to the traffic, the unsafe busing, and how the kids are let off and how they attempt to run across the street. I would like to see if it's possible that this company picked another more suitable location just out of respect for that long-term neighbor that just spoke, named Mr. Fred Bunker. And another thing, when these petitioners come before the city and speak and the residents can hear, you might want to make sure your equipment is working, because I heard very little of what the gentleman said and an even smaller amount of what Mr. Bunker said, but I know the area. So just be cognizant, show some respect, be decent, and it doesn't have to be right to the point, because we listen to a lot of stuff that you guys are talking about that's not important.
Thank you, Ms. Gerald.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to this special use request?
Madam President, at this time, no one else has pressed star 3 to be recognized for this public hearing.
Thank you. Then I will now declare the, I'm sorry, was there someone here? Okay, I now declare the public hearing closed, and I will refer to council now. And I will start with you, Councilwoman Banks.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Brightwell.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Frazier. Councilman Frazier. Okay, we'll come back.
Can you hear me?
No,
Hello?
we can now.
Oh, I wasn't muted. Okay, I'll stand closer to my microphone. Planner, this is an I-1 zone. Why isn't that car rental qualify as a permitted use rather than a special use in the I-1 zone?
Well, if the council has, for as long as I've been here, treated industrial type zones for basically that, industrial type uses, for the making of materials. You look at the Lear, other various businesses that have been up and along Telegraph Road, and we've always treated something that was not an industrial type use as a special land use within the district. So basically, we are just following along with what has been for a really long time, that industrial uses, those types of manufacturing uses have been permitted, whereas these accessory type uses have been special land uses within the district.
Oh, okay. In the retention pond, is that, you know, when I was reading the information, they're going to have a device in there that makes it kind of look like a fountain. Does that mean that it will always be a pond? They're going to have a fountain for aeration. Is it always going to be a pond, or is it going to have agricultural absorption back into the ground?
Well, I can probably have the petitioner respond to that. My understanding was that there would always be water in it with a water feature, but there would be a point at which any excess water would drain off into the system at the agricultural rate. But I do know that Mr. Donahue is on, and Allison Bishop is on as well. They might be able to answer that question as well.
This is Allison Bishop from A.R. Brower. I'm sorry, I couldn't unmute myself earlier, but can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Allison Bishop with A.R. Brower. The pond has been designed to hold at least 2 to 3 feet of water to allow for the fountain to work.
And if there's an excess of 3 feet of water?
It will drain at the outlet into the city storm system. But the site has been designed in accordance with the Oakland County water resources requirements, which are a lot of the stormwater is designed to infiltrate into the bioswales that are around the perimeter of the site.
Okay. The property, while it looks vacant, used to have a manufacturing company under that worked for the federal government. And because it was secret, citizens just couldn't go in there. They went out of business. And my question to our planner was community impact study done on that property to make sure that nothing was had leaked out of the original building to contaminate the soil, because on the news all the time we're talking about PFAS and everything that people are finding and causing drinking water problems. I don't think there is, but I would like to be sure.
Well, if I may, through the chair to Mr. Frazier, a community impact statement was not done on this property. I would ask whether or not whether Mr. Donahue or Allison, if a phase 1 environmental had been done on this property.
Phase 1 environmental was done on the property.
And no problems were found?
No, we've gone through the phase 1. We're in the phase 2 now, and any of the levels were under the detectable levels that are set forth by whatever the governing committee is. It's all under and being reviewed now as well.
Okay, that's
we've done all. And then Progressive Insurance, who also, when they purchased the site, I believe 2009 was the year, did a phase 1, phase 2 as well when they purchased it. And I would just also like to comment that one of the comments from one of I think the young lady who brought up saying it was a franchise on behalf of Progressive. Enterprise is privately held. We have no franchises. We are not opening on behalf of Progressive. We're purchasing the property from Progressive, and it will be owned by our legal entity, Enterprise Leasing Company of Detroit.
okay. Well, that's good news that you did a phase 1, phase 2, and haven't found anything. That's good for this community and for long-term problems. I'm glad that something is going to go there that's bringing in revenue to the city and doing a a service to the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Frazier. Councilman Hoskins?
No question for me on this.
Thank you. And Councilman Mandelbaum?
The only question I have is, and this was maybe to Jeff. Is there a bus stop in front of this, or is it on the other side of Gardner?
To be honest, sir, I don't recall where the bus stop location is in this area.
Okay, so I was just trying to think if this would potentially interfere, or if they're going to have to work around that bus stop area. Especially if kids are going on the bus to and from school.
No, either their parents bring them. They did have school buses. I don't know if they have them this year or not, but they did have school buses in past years. But actually, there's a traffic signal right at the corner of Garner and Telegraph, and I think they're going to have some problems with in and out traffic out of their location because traffic backs up along Telegraph Road right in front of their driveway.
Okay. That was the only question I have. Other than that, I don't have any other concerns with this.
Thank you very much. Mayor, did you have any comments?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Zorn?
Yes, Madam President. The city engineering is not on, but the reference to the Oakland County Water Resource Standards, those are new standards that have been put in place. This will, to my knowledge, will be one of the first developments under that new standard, and they're far more rigorous than what has historically been in place. My understanding, and I make this statement that I'm not an engineer, that the water, they're doing everything they can to keep as much of the rain that falls on that site on the original site, and it's only released at an agricultural rate. And I've made a note that I'm going to ask the city engineer at a later date to come in and do a presentation regarding this new standard. And if their engineer could perhaps comment on that, that might be beneficial for council.
Sure. My name is Andrew Walters. I'm with Metro Consulting Associates. I'm the civil site engineer for this project. So regards to the stormwater management, you're correct. The Oakland County has updated their standards, went into effect August of this year. The requirements basically are for detention of lower, more frequent storm volumes all the way up to the 100-year storm event. There's also requirements for treatment for water quality. And then the new addition to the standards was an infiltration requirement, or the first inch, 1.3 inches of water on this that falls on this site has to be kept on the site and either infiltrated into the ground or reused in some fashion. So although this design is still in preliminary stages, what you see for a stormwater management system here on the plan that's on the screen does meet the current Oakland County Water Resources Commission standards for treatment. The bioretention areas that are along the west, south side, the northeast corner, and a small one that's in sort of the north center portion, have all been designed to infiltrate at least the first 1.3 inches of rainfall on the site. From there, water will go to the detention pond. It does have a permanent pool of water, as Allison Bishop had mentioned, but the upper portion of the pond above the permanent water elevation will provide the 100-year detention volume. From there will be an outlet control structure, which will control the release from the detention pond to the storm sewer system that is in Telegraph Road, and that is an MDOT system, as I understand it. And that rate will be controlled to the allowable release rate, which is 0.15 cubic feet per second per acre. This is only a 3-acre site, so it's a pretty small release rate that will be coming off of this property.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, Mr. Zorn?
No, Madam President. I think it's important that council recognize and that our citizens recognize these standards are getting, they're changing and evolving to meet some of the challenges that we are facing through global warming, and they're more stringent. They add to the development costs, but they do help keep the water more on site and protect downstream and hopefully prevent flooding. It seems these freak storms are happening with greater frequency, but I just felt council should be aware that this new standard is in place. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Spence, did you want to read your findings from the Planning Commission?
Basically, I mean, staff does have the recommendation, of a favorable recommendation for the special use request in accordance with the conditions and the reasons that are in this resolution.
Okay, thank you. Council? May I have a motion, please?
This is
Councilwoman
Councilman
Banks?
Mandelbaum. Go ahead, Ms. Banks.
Oh, thank you. That the special use request of Enterprise Leasing Company of Detroit on behalf of the owner, Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, PSLU 21-0007, be approved.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilwoman Banks, supported by Councilman Mandelbaum, for the approval of PSLU 21-0007, the special land use request of Enterprise Leasing Company of Detroit. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Haskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
Brightwell,
Yes.
and Frazier.
Yes.
Thank you. We now have another public hearing. This is for PZRODD 21-0003, which is the rezoning request with the Overlay Development District agreement of TriCap Residential Group, representing the owner, Namu Akron.
Thank you, Madam President. So yes, this is the second item from Planning Department this evening, PZRODD 21-0003. This is the rezoning request with an Overlay Development District development agreement for TriCap Residential Group. Specifically, this has to do with the existing Hawthorne Suites property located at 26700 Central Park Boulevard, which is on the southeast corner of 11 Mile and Central Park. And again, the proposal is to rezone to ODD for the conversion of the existing hotel to multiple family type units, project called the Alcove. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. So this is an aerial photo of the current location. You can see the area of the property that is in red, currently being operated as a Hawthorne Suite. Next slide, please. And this is the proposal from TriCap for the conversion. Basically, they would be looking at both interior and exterior renovations. It would basically be unit for unit. The plan is not to join any of the existing units together, but to form larger ones, but to renovate the existing units as they stand today. They will also be looking at upgrades to the site with regard to more landscaping, additional sitting spaces, a renovation to the existing pool area, and the existing clubhouse community building. Next slide, please. This is the landscape plan. Again, as I had noted, there's going to be some significant upgrades to landscaping throughout the site, especially along Central Park Boulevard. Right now, there are a lot of existing trees, a lot of evergreens that are not as healthy as what they used to be. So we'd be looking at some removals of that plant material and then adding in brand new plant material, not only along Central Park Boulevard, though that's where the focus is, but also in some of these other additional sitting spaces that will be proposed and constructed throughout the site. Next slide. You can see on the left-hand side what the existing buildings look like versus the proposed new buildings. Again, they're the refreshing and upgrades, not only in the materials, but also in the colors. Next slide. Again, looking from the left to the right, existing conditions versus the new conditions on the right-hand side. Next slide. This is the proposed interior renovations for the units themselves. Next slide. And next slide. This is the floor plan for the existing community building. Next slide. And again, the elevations for the various units and color scheme. Next slide. And next slide. With that, we do have members of the petitioner, Mr. Luke Bonner is online, as well as Mr. Brian Pritchard. And gentlemen, if you would like to add to the presentation, now would be the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Good evening, Madam President, members of council, and Mayor. Brian Pritchard, the owner and CEO, TriCap Residential, is also on, and Rob Sanchez, VP of Asset Management, is on. Pleasure to be before you again this evening for consideration. Just wanted to reiterate the amount of time that we've been able to spend with Jeff and Terry Crode, and also the relationship that we've been able to make with Elizabeth Wilson at the Condo Association. And we've been able to really address all of the interests from both the city and the neighbors in terms of the additional landscaping, street lighting, on the service drive, as well as Central Park Boulevard. We're making a significant amount of landscape improvements throughout the property as well, and also to the exteriors of the building. So we're very satisfied with how the process has gone. We feel like it's actually better today than when we started, and that has a lot to do with the input from the neighbors and the city team. And I'll let Brian also say a few words as well. Also want to mention that Wade Chubb, our architect from Hobbs & Black, is also on the call. I forgot to mention it. So Brian, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. Thanks, Luke. I really appreciate it. I just want to reiterate what Luke said. We've really enjoyed the process, and I think that we've had a good opportunity to work with all of the different parties in the city of Southfield and our adjacent neighbors to put forth the best product that we can for this particular site. We're really excited about the opportunity, and if there are any questions, we're happy to address them. I don't want to rehash the project as we've gone through it several times before this audience.
Thank you. If there's no one else that wants to shed any more light on this project, this is a public hearing. I can open it for public comment. Okay, I'll now declare PZRODD 21-0003 rezoning request with the overlay development district development agreement of TriCap residential group. I declare the public hearing open. If there's anyone that would like to speak to this topic, please do *3 to be recognized by our clerk.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, good evening.
Okay. This is Pamela Gerald, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 48037-0155. My telephone number is 248-346-0439. I think I heard the gentleman from TriCap say that they have worked successfully with the residents in the area. And I'm not going to say anything that's not kind or improper, but I don't believe that. We had a walk recently in the city of Southfield, and several of the residents that live in the Evergreen Meadow condominiums saw me at that event, and they talked to me about this project. A lot of them are not in favor of this project. You know, this was a Hawthorne Suites, and at some point in time, this Hawthorne Suite turned itself from a hotel, like an extended stay, apartment type living for executives in the area, to a full-fledged apartment. When and how were they able to do that is my first question. The second question, about a year or so ago, you saw big green dumpsters there with a lot of drywall, which said to me that they were doing renovations. If that is the case, since drywall qualifies for one of the things that you have to pull a permit for, have they or did they pull any permits to do the renovations that they were doing at that time a year ago? I want to know, were they able to operate as an apartment when they were supposed to be Hawthorne Suite Hotel Motel? And if so, who gave that authorization? I don't like the fact that people are able to do what they want to do in this city and then decide we're going to do it right and then come before our city, our honorable body, and other city staff members and say you don't want to rehash, you just want to get right down to the business. Now, you might get an approval tonight. In fact, TriCap and the petitioner, you'll probably get a rubber stamp. I'm hoping that some of the ink is gone and you won't see the rubber stamp completely. But before you approve this, council, you need to get some answers to some of these questions. When did they reach out to the resident? In what manner did they reach out? And what was the feedback? And based on what you say, I'm going to ask that you postpone this, and I'm going to bring some of those residents to this meeting if they're not here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there someone else on the call?
Madam President, for this public hearing, no one else has pressed *3 to speak.
Okay, thank you. Council, I'll start with you, Councilman Brightwell.
I'm supportive of this particular project, but I do have a question. What was the, and I try to find it in the package, what is the total value, dollar value of this renovation and update?
The total investment for the project is about $15 million.
Okay. And I think I asked this in another session. What is the potential finish date for this? Was it a year, 2 years down the road?
We'll define finishes when it's fully leased. We would expect that to be within a 12 to 24 month period.
Okay. Okay. Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Frazier?
I have no questions.
Thank you. Councilman Hoskins?
Thank you. I'd just be curious. When did you get a chance to talk to the residents at the other condo?
Hey, Councilman Hoskins, I can answer that. So Ms. Wilson from the condo association had reached out to us through the city staff originally. We had spoken to her by phone twice. We also walked the property with her extensively one time with just myself and Ms. Wilson, and then a second time with myself and city staff, Terry Crode and Jeff Spence. We also had a letter from the condo association board during that time period that was sent to us or sent to the city that we're able to see, outlining all of their concerns. And then based on both site walks with Ms. Wilson, we feel that we've addressed all of those concerns. And we look forward to having an additional call in the near future to discuss the extensive amount of landscaping that we will guarantee to put on their property as part of this approval process.
All right, thank you. That's all the questions that I had.
Thank you. Councilman Mandelbaum?
Thank you. Just to piggyback off Councilman Hoskins, I know that when this was brought to us during our committee of a whole meeting, that same question was raised. And I know that Planner Crode mentioned one of the concerns that the association still had was they wanted all the trees to be maintained in perpetuity. And I don't think that was one of the things that that was agreed upon. It was, they'll guarantee the trees, but they're not going to maintain them. They'll plant them, they'll guarantee the life of the trees, but they're not going to be maintained. If I'm speaking correctly. Other than that, I know that Mr. Crode, I don't think had any other concerns that he heard from the association complex. In fact, he said that they were happy that the additional trees were being planted to help create a buffer between the two properties. I would be interested to hear if Planner Spence knows what other concerns were brought up in the letter and how they were addressed, if that's possible.
Yeah, if I may, through the chair, I'm kind of looking through my packet here, looking for the particular letter that's referenced. And I have to say, unfortunately, I'm not finding it here in the packet.
Do you recall what was in that letter?
Well, the main concerns that were originally brought forward had to do with trash being thrown over the fence from the existing site, from the Hawthorne Suite sites onto the property. It also had to do with noise, specifically from a lot of children that were on the complex, and the noise into the night, climbing over the fences from the Hawthorne Suite site onto the Evergreen Meadows site. That was also a concern. As it was noted a couple of minutes ago, per the site walk that the city did along with the petitioner and the homeowner association president, numerous things were pointed out with regard to screening of the existing units on the Hawthorne Suite site from the Evergreen Meadows condos. And thus the slide that is up right now, that is the product of adding existing trees to the site in order to provide that screening. As it was noted earlier, maintenance was basically the petitioner would plant the trees on the property, guarantee them for 1 or 2 years, but it would become the responsibility of the homeowners association to then take care of the trees from that point. Again, TRICAP was willing to plant the trees to provide the screening that was requested, but would not maintain them beyond that 1 or 2 year guarantee period for the trees.
Councilman Mandelbaum, I would like to clarify that we still have not had our sort of next stage meeting with the condo association to finalize the agreement between TriCap Residential and the association in regard to the tree planting. We do know that ultimately will be a separate agreement between us and the condo association, and isn't necessarily a matter of being within the ODD agreement. But we will plant the trees per the request of the condo association, and then also enter into an agreement of how those will be maintained. So that is yet to be determined, but we will be doing that as our next step.
Okay, perfect. I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Councilwoman Banks?
The only thing I'd like to add is I'd like to say thank you, Mr. Bonner, for reaching out to the condominium complex. I do remember the first time we reviewed this, that you did state you spoke with them, and I believe ultimately they were happy with this proposal. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, do you have any comments or questions?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Thank you. And City Administrator?
No, ma'am, I don't. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Spence? Planner Spence, I'm sorry. Planner Spence, did you want to read the recommendation?
Yes, should be the next slide if it's put up on the screen. Okay, thank you. So the planning department does recommend favorable consideration of PZRODD 21-0003 to rezone 5.4 acres of property to ODD Overlay Development District with underlying B2 plan business and create a master development plan and agreement to allow for the conversion of the existing Hawthorne Suites Hotel to multiple family units for the reasons as noted in the recommendation 1 through 4.
Thank you. Council?
Madam President,
Yes.
I move that we approve PZRODD 21-0003 as presented this evening.
Support.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councilman Frazier, supported by Councilman Brightwell for the approval of BZRODD 21-0003, the rezoning request with an overlay development district development agreement of TriCap Residential Group. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
Brightwell,
Yes.
Frazier,
Yes.
and Hoskins. Hoskins?
Yes.
Thank you. Council, we also have an ordinance to introduce ordinance number 1746.
Madam President,
Yes.
I move that we introduce ordinance number 1746.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Frazier, supported by Councilman Brightwell for the introduction of ordinance number 1746. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Taylor,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
Brightwell,
Yes.
Frazier,
Yes.
Hoskins,
Yes.
and Mandelbaum.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we have our public hearing for the Brownfield redevelopment plan and tax increment financing plan and development and reimbursement agreement for SLT Holdings.
Good evening, Council President, Mr. Mayor, Honorable Board. This is Rochelle Freeman, Business and Economic Development Director for the city. This item was brought to the Committee of the Whole on October 18th and to the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, which did provide support on September 23rd. I have a short presentation and the consultants for SLT Holdings and the city's Brownfield consultant are also available. The proposed new Soul Market at 27522 Northwestern Service Drive. They, next slide. SLT Holdings is a family-owned business. They're a minority and veteran-owned enterprise, and they've been in the city of Southfield for over 30 years. They recently redid the new Seoul Plaza, which is home to some outstanding Korean restaurants located on the Service Drive at Northwestern Highway, and they've created over 75 new jobs at that location. Next slide. They had originally hoped to put a market behind the restaurants, but the location wasn't ideal. And when the opportunity came forward to purchase the former Copper Canyon Brewery, which has been vacant since 2014, they thought this was the ideal location to move forward. They have conducted environmental assessments, and they've also deemed the property to be functionally obsolete, which allows them to utilize our Brownfield redevelopment tools. Next slide, please. This is a wonderful opportunity for them to put their new Soul Market at this location. They are looking to renovate the existing facility, which is 9,440 square feet, and add an additional 5,025 square feet of floor space onto the existing facility. They are planning on making an extremely high-end international Asian culinary marketplace with all the latest in environmental and green technology, with the best equipment and electric charging stations, with stormwater landscaping to help reduce excess stormwater, and create some outside dining experiences and make it just a real destination location for the city of Southfield. Next slide, please. Here's a site plan that has gone through the planning process currently. Next slide, please. Again, this property has been deemed to be functionally obsolete, and they've identified eligible activities. Again, the Brownfield process works in that items that are deemed to be eligible activities can be reimbursed as the taxes are collected on the property over time. And this is a local project, so just local taxes will be collected. And so that's why the reimbursement process is 24 years. But the last 5 years of the 24 years is dollars that will come directly to the city's Brownfield revolving fund. So you can see that they're seeking reimbursement for internal demolition, removal of asbestos, infrastructure improvements, and site preparation at this location. So the total reimbursements would be just over $500,000, and that does include the contingency. And then the city will be receiving some of these dollars, $154,232 for our revolving fund, and $73,696 for administrative over the 24-year term. This project is a $6.3 million investment in the city. Next slide. And again, here are some renderings of the site, and also available on the call is Rebecca Lazarus and Ryan from PM Environmental. Should you have any questions? We are looking to hold a public hearing on this item, and if council is in agreement to approve the attached resolution at the conclusion of your public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. Did either Mr. Ryan or Ms. Rebecca want to speak, or no? Okay, we're hearing none. I will now declare the public hearing open for the Brownfield redevelopment plan and tax increment financing plan. If anyone wishes to speak to this topic, please push *3 to be recognized by the clerk.
Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this is Pamela Gerald, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan 48037-0155. My telephone number is 248-346-0439. I remember when Copper Canyon was built, and I remember when the Korean restaurant was built. And both of those were two really beautiful places that a lot of the companies, Fortune 500 companies around the city of Southfield, used to have their conferences where they would meet and discuss various things for the upcoming year. That was the place where Southfield residents went and dined. It was considered fine dining, beautiful atmosphere and ambiance to both of the eateries. And it was a shame when Copper Canyon closed. It was a beautiful place. I mean, they had the steel containers where you can look to see or think that you could see how that whole process worked. And it was more than just a restaurant. It was also a site that people wanted to see. And I am really happy that this company, SLT Holdings, is going to take what used to be an eatery institution around Southfield and make it into something new, more innovative, I'm sure energy efficient. Hopefully they go for a LEED 4 certification. It would be nice to have such a certification in the city. I'm not normally in favor of brownfield redevelopment projects because I think sometimes when the developers come in, they say, no, we're not going to go for it. And then for whatever reason, 6 months to a year later, they come back in and say that they've changed their mind. This is the type of property that definitely qualifies for a brownfield. And I never thought that I would hear myself say this, but I am actually in favor of it. And I'm in favor of it because look what they've done so far with the new place. I'm really excited about it. I'm in support of it. And I'm hoping that some of the jobs that it will create, that those jobs would go to Southfield residents, and maybe they can go to the schools and try to get some of the school students to do internships and work there in hopes that they can eventually get a job that they may qualify for. But I'm totally in favor of it. Thank you, SLT, for buying such a eyesore
Thank you.
from the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Madam President, at this time, no one else has pressed *3 to be recognized for this public hearing.
Thank you. I will now declare the public hearing closed. And council, I'll start with you, Councilman Frazier.
Yes, this looks like a project that is going to be a real positive thing for the city of Southfield. And those people driving along Northwestern Highway are going to look over the fence and see a gorgeous new building and see the sign and say, I want to get there. And they're not going to be sure how to get there. So once again, I'm going to say that we need to put our heads together and find a way to put some wayfinding signs so that this $6 million that the people are going to spend are offset by new customers coming in and old customers coming back to partake of their grocery store or their restaurant. But I'm in favor of the whole project. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Hoskins?
No questions for me on this, but I'm just like Councilman Frazier, I'm looking forward to this project getting going. And he does bring up a good point about the wayfinding too. for that area. But that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Mandelbaum?
I echo what my colleagues have said. This area, especially the building, definitely. I'm glad that they finally found an owner and somebody willing to fix it up and move in there. But I do agree. I know that we have talked with Ms. Freeman previously about some additional wayfinding signs, especially in that area. So hopefully we can get that done as well. So, but other than that, I think this is a great project. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Banks?
Thank you. I look forward to this project. The building has been an eyesore for a long, long time. And I also concur that we need to find some wayfinding, signs to assist the people that want to frequent this market and the restaurants on how to get there. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilman Brightwell?
I'm supportive, and I've been supportive of this project since the beginning of it. And I continue to be supportive, so I'm looking forward to the conclusion of it and seeing individuals enjoying themselves there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
I am just ecstatic about this because for the reason stated, cleaning up blight, but also this provides Southfield residents with another food purchase option, another grocery store, another place to buy food. And obviously this is a niche. It'll carry different things than some of the other stores, but it's going to be a great addition to our city. So I'm grateful for the developer moving forward with this project. Thank you.
Thank you. And City Administrator Zorn?
Madam President, the administration's in support for all the aforementioned reasons. I think council's right on. The wayfinding does present a challenge. I think we probably will need to bring in a professional consulting firm to make that happen. But we think this is a great project. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Freeman, is there any additional comments before we put this to a vote?
No comments for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Council?
Yes, this is Councilman Mandelbaum.
Yes.
I'd like to move the approval of the Brownfield Redevelopment Plan and Tax Increment Financing Plan and Development and Reimbursement Agreement for SLT Holdings LLC, New Soul Market, located at 27522 Northwestern Highway.
Support.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councilman Mandelbaum, supported by Councilwoman Banks, for the approval of the Brownfield Redevelopment Plan and Tax Increment Financing Plan and Development and Reimbursement Agreement for SLT Holdings LLC. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Banks?
Yes.
Brightwell?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Haskins?
Yes.
Mandelbaum?
Yes.
And Taylor?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I know Rebecca Lazarus was on the screen, and I know that her and her team are very appreciative for moving that project forward. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next item is yours as well, I believe, Shelley. The Economic Development Initiative?
That's correct. On August 23rd, Arbor Town LLC had approved, the city council had approved their request for the establishment of a PA 210 commercial rehabilitation district. And we also had approved a rehabilitation exemption certificate. However, there was an error in their application. And in speaking with the city attorney, Don King, it was recommended that we come back to city council, that we re-advertise for the public hearing, and that we go through the process again. Nothing had been submitted to the state. And so just to ensure success for this project, that's what we would like to do. I do have the presentation loaded and can go through that for the public if you'd like. So, and then have another public hearing for the request for Arbortown 2 LLC for commercial rehabilitation exemption certificate. So if you could go to the next slide. The next slide, please. Again, Arbortown 2 LLC is proposing to redevelop the vacant parking lot at Arbor Lofts. Next slide, please. They are looking to build 60 units with multifamily housing and carports on the obsolete parking lot at 20300 Civic Center Drive. Arbor Lofts has been a very successful project and has seen a lot of young professionals and students, corporate apartments, fill up that space. And so they're very pleased and excited to move forward with with an additional 60 units at this location. They're requesting a 6-year PA 210 certificate to make this project feasible. Next slide, please. Here are some pictures of the proposed development. And again, this project has gone to planning and they have approved this. Next slide. And again, another of what the existing lot looks like. Next slide. So like I said, they're looking to build 60 units to bring more density to the area and support more retail and commercial developments. The site improvements include walkability and community area, including green spaces, landscaping, a fenced pet area, walkable community space, and a quarter lot reserved for a park or community space. Next slide, please. This increased density is going to be wonderful for the city center. It's something that we've been encouraging at this site for many years. They're planning on making a $13 million investment in this area, and they plan to have the project completed by December 31st, 2023. Next slide, please. And again, they're looking to get a certificate for 6 years for this location. Thank you.
Thank you.
So again, Council President, we'd like to have another public hearing on this item and be happy to answer any questions. The developer and a couple of the participants that are in the redevelopment are also available if you have any questions for them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I will now declare that the public hearing is open for the Economic Development Initiative new application from Arbortown 2 LLC for the Commercial Rehabilitation Exemption Certificate under PA 210 of 2005 as amended. Is there anyone that wishes to speak to this topic? Please push *3 to be recognized by the clerk.
Madam President, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is Pamela Gerald, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 48037-0155. I just wanted to say that I am in favor of this particular item on the agenda. All we have to do is drive a stone's throw away from City Hall around the roundabout, and you'll run right into Arbor Loft Apartments. And what they did over there is absolutely beautiful. And if their future projects is an indication of what we see over there already, it can't be anything but good. And I'm totally in support of what the petitioner is asking for. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to this?
Madam President, at this time, no one has pressed *3 to be recognized for this public hearing.
Okay, thank you. Then I will now declare the public hearing closed. And I'll refer to council, and I'll start with you, Councilman Hoskins.
No question for me on this. Thank you.
Councilman Mandelbaum.
I have about 10 pages of questions, but they were all answered. So I have no problems with this. I think that this is going to be good for the city. You know, we're always looking for additional types of housing and different types of options that for people that are either learning here, working here, want to live here. So I think this will be a great addition to the city. I'm excited to have them here. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Councilwoman Banks.
My only question is, when do they propose to break ground? We've been talking about this project, it seems like, for a long, long time. And while I'm in favor of it, it's just, when are we going to put the shovel in the ground and start the project?
Gal Karp and Ed Siegel are on the line, if either one of them would like to answer.
Hi, you guys. Sorry to be back so quickly, but literally it was just an error in the application because we had a few different LLCs that we didn't really realize. But we're planning to start as soon as possible this year to put the shovel in the ground. We did have Flagstar Bank out a week or two ago. And also Tower Construction provided all the updated construction costs. So we are ready to go.
Thank you.
Excellent. Councilman Brightwell.
I'm supportive of it. They have a good track record with us here in the city, so I'm looking forward to the additional development. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And Councilman Frazier.
Yes, I have a couple, 3 questions. First question, and they're peripheral questions. They're not directly aimed at this project, but this project is included in them. Seems like we've been approving developments, multifamily apartment complexes and condos. And this question really is to our city administrator. Is there a count of how many living units we have in the city of Southfield, and what is that? Is it the right amount? Are we building too many, or we don't have enough? I'd like to know that question. And the second part of that question is, have we taken a look at our staffing to support the kind of controls and support for the units that are being built? And I'm talking about code enforcement, building inspectors, things that will keep Southfield the center of it all and the curb appeal where we want it to be, instead of playing catch up.
You may want to include police and fire in that as well.
Yes. That's part of your 10-page thing.
Fred, you might be on mute.
You're on mute, Fred. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now, Madam President?
Now we can hear you.
All right, I apologize. Regarding the number of units, I don't have the number in front of me. I can tell you the number has been discussed. Our strategy has been where these units are. They tend to be in our DDA city center and just outside the Centropolis. We have new product being built that hopefully will light a fire under some of the older product, and we'll see some repositioning. The reality of the marketplace is we have a lot of folks who are moving and who are looking for that rental opportunity before they become homeowners. Regarding the level of service, we probably do need to spend some time evaluating. I will tell you, we did see an uptick in the last census information. I would, from an economic standpoint, where the city's budget is, like to see our same level of service continue to drive or support this new development. But we do need to take a look at that. And I will speak with the city planner and we'll look to incorporate that dialogue within our master plan.
Okay, because it's not going to be very long before we have more units down at the old Northland Center. So just a broad study of the whole city, make sure that we have the right support staff so that things don't go awry.
And I think it's been said many a times at council meetings that the tax base was built on this commercial base being the supporter. But we're seeing that change very dramatically. Just today, finance director and myself were in dialogue about the potential impact of COVID. And we know from the Great Recession, we typically don't see that decline till 2 years after the crisis. So this topic merits a lot of discussion. What may happen to our office? Again, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but we know our residential values are up 9.7%. The marketplace and the values have been stronger in the residential arena. That's why we see so much interest in that sector. And hopefully, part of your a new local economy is that neighborhood economy that these new homes support. Now, much of Northland moved from a regional shopping destination to this will become a neighborhood first, and it'll drive that retail. And the Hudson's Marketplace will have a regional draw element to it. But we do have some challenges that certainly merit looking at.
Okay, thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, any comments?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, council, are we ready to vote on this matter? For the approval or the acceptance of the new application?
Yes, this is Councilman Mandelbaum.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, did Shelley have something else she wanted to add?
No, thank you.
Okay. I'd like to move the Economic Development Initiative for the new application for Arbor Town 2 LLC for a commercial rehabilitation exemption certificate under PA 210 of 2005 as amended.
Support.
I'm sorry, Councilman Mandelbaum, would you please have the resolution that's attached? It's not amended, it's a brand new resolution that's attached, granting them a 6-year exemption and authorizing the city attorney to prepare the necessary documents for us to send.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. I'd like to move that we approve a PA 210 tax incentive and approve the commercial rehabilitation exemption certificate for Arbor Town 2 LLC at 20300 Civic Center Drive for a 6-year period, commencing with tax year 2021 and ending with tax year 2027. And also direct the city attorney to prepare the necessary tax abatement agreement between the city and Arbor Town 2 LLC, and authorize the mayor and city clerk to sign all documents related to these matters on behalf of the city and forward the same to the state tax commission.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Mandelbaum and supported by Councilman Frazier for the approval of the resolution as presented.
Question.
Yes.
All the supporting documentation states as amended. So now I'm questioning, is the documents that were in the regular packet correct? And if they are not correct, shouldn't the correct documents be, shouldn't the incorrect documents be removed and the correct documents replaced? Because everything on here says amended. If you look at the.
Excuse me, Council President, if you don't mind, I can answer that.
Yes, please.
The PA 210 of 2005 as amended is the way that we describe that public act. But all of the documents that are submitted are new. There is no, this is not, we're not amending what we did before. I think there just might be a little confusion in the way that the way that we refer to the act of PA 210.
Okay, I just want to make sure that the supporting documentation is correct. For anyone looking back in the future, you don't want there to be a conflict. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Brightwell,
Yes.
Frazier,
Yes.
Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
and Banks.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other comments or anything, Ms. Freeman?
Thank you very much. No further comments.
Okay, thank you. Council, next we have our agenda items for discussion and or action. And the first item is the authorization to purchase replacement vehicles for the police department.
Good evening, Council President and Council.
Good evening.
This is from the motor pool. It is a request to purchase 7 vehicles. The money was budgeted in the fiscal year 22 budget. 3 of the vehicles are take-home vehicles, 2 for deputy chiefs, 1 for a sergeant. These vehicles will be reused or repurposed once they're replaced. 4 of the vehicles are patrol vehicles, and they will replace the vehicles in the worst condition. We are actually running low on vehicles. Normally, motor pool has 10 to a dozen spare vehicles or vehicles in transition. Right now, we have 3 vehicles that are spares. So we do want to get these in service. Vehicles are difficult to purchase because of the chips, and we have had a number of vehicles damaged in use. If you look at the third page of the agenda item, there is a chart that gives a good representation of the vehicles, including the price and how they'll be repurposed. Motor Pool selected these based on mileage, usage, and anticipated maintenance.
Okay, thank you. Council, I'll start with you. Councilman Mandelbaum.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Banks. Councilwoman Banks.
Sorry. When we say that the vehicles are going to be repurposed, can you please re-clarify what that means?
It will replace other vehicles in worse condition and use in the police department, or perhaps other departments as they are moved down. For instance, I'm certain you've seen the parking enforcement uses old patrol cars. That won't be what these are for, but they'll be replacing vehicles that are in worse condition with higher mileage.
And then do we know what the miles are on the 2 Ford Explorers that we're purchasing, the limited models? Or not, I'm sorry, on the old vehicles.
The vehicles that are replacing.
Yes, thank you.
Actually, on the 2017, I don't have much. I thought I did, but I don't see it here. I apologize. However, these will be, as I say, reused, so.
Okay, can I just request that, like, in the future, that we have the mileage of the vehicles, at least the old vehicles, and, you know, what they're being replaced with?
Yes, ma'am. Normally that is included. I don't know how that occurred. I'll make sure that we do that in the future though. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Banks, is that something you would like to have for these particular items? Normally they are here.
I feel it's important, but I don't know how the rest of the council feels, so. I mean, I
Okay.
thought we agreed a long time ago that, you know, that was to be included when we were
Mhm.
talking about vehicles.
Mhm. John, would you mind providing us with that additional
Absolutely.
information?
That's not a problem. I'll also include the mileage on the vehicles that they'll be replacing if that's available.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Brightwell?
John, Ms. Banks had the same question. I did want to see what mileage was on the 2017 vehicles. With respect to that, I support this purchase, but just for transparency purposes, and going in the future, when we're replacing those vehicles, just from a fleet management standpoint, it would be a good idea to have what current conditions are, so we know we have an idea of what we're replacing. But I'm 100% supportive of having officers drive in the most current vehicles in our fleet, and so there's no degradation in the service that they are performing. So thank you, sir. Thank you, and that's it, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilman Frazier?
Yeah, I do have some questions. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm sensitive to take-home vehicles. And there are 3 vehicles that are take-home, 2 to deputy chiefs and 1 to a sergeant. I can visualize the discussion for the deputy chiefs, but why does the sergeant need to have a take-home vehicle?
First of all, this is not an expansion of the take-home vehicle program. That specific, so this was a take-home vehicle previously, but the specific assignment that justifies that would have to come from the police department, unfortunately. This is Sergeant Schneider. Can I chime in real quick?
Yes, please.
Reference the mileage on the vehicles. One of the vehicles that is being replaced, the mileage on that vehicle is 72,665. In the other vehicles, I don't have the exact number, but it's similar to that number, just more, a little bit less. And then as far as the take-home vehicles, the only 2 cars that are actually take-home cars are for the deputy chiefs. The sergeant's car is a UC vehicle. The only time that the sergeant would be taking it home is if he had an operation off hours, where he would take that vehicle home if he was on a day shift, but they had an operation in the evening, he would take home the car so he could go directly to where the operation is, not to the station. It's not something he would be able to take home every single day.
Okay. And again, this is a peripheral question, and maybe our finance people would have to answer this. How do we deal with costs of the take-home vehicles? Is that part of a benefit, or is that reimbursement, or what? If anybody's on the line. Otherwise, it can pass. We can go ahead. I'm in support of the replacement vehicles, but the administration is what I'm after.
And sir, that might be a separate discussion.
That's fine. We can do that. I don't want to hold up the item tonight.
Thank you. Councilman Hoskins?
No questions for me on this.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
No question.
Okay, thank you. And City Administrator, any comments?
No, I have no comments. I would like to just comment, Mr. Frazier's earlier remarks. That has been an internal discussion, IRS obligate conversations. Much of it's subject to some collective bargaining. There are some inconsistencies in how it's been handled throughout the city. It is, we have some thoughts on how to cure it, but it will become a matter of future collective bargaining topics. And what I'd like to do is perhaps talk to the finance chair and start with the presentation there. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so are we looking to vote on this, or you wanted to go to the consent agenda for our next meeting?
If we could vote tonight, Council President, that would be helpful due to the shortage of vehicles. We'd like to get these ordered as soon as we can.
Okay.
Question, were we going to, I thought we were gonna come back with the mileage on the vehicles.
The officer just read, I thought, the mileage.
Thought it was just for the one. We're talking six vehicles here.
Well, and for the road vehicles, please note that we're not certain which vehicles will be replaced. We can make a educated guess now of the ones that will be replaced, but if vehicles are total between now and then, obviously, then we'll have to leave certain vehicles online. What I'd like to do is come back to council with information as far as firming up mileage on these vehicles, at least the ones we know about we're replacing, and then also the mileage on what they'll be replacing too, to give you a more complete picture. Because these are not being taken out of service, they're actually being repurposed as we discussed.
Right, and then, I mean, do we have a policy, I mean, 72,000 miles, and he says, give or take, it's really not a lot of miles if the vehicles are being maintained. Do we have a policy regarding before they're replaced, they should reach like a certain number of miles?
That is an excellent point, Councilwoman, if I could, Council President. But in this instance, we have to remember that the vehicles taken out of service are not these vehicles. The 72,000, 77,000 miles vehicles will be reassigned to someone else and in use for probably a couple more years. I think the good point to discuss would be the vehicles that are eventually being taken out of service, the trickle-down vehicles, and I'd like to bring those back to council. I'm sure they will have a lot more than 70-some thousand miles. You are right. But just to answer your question more fully, Motor Pool looks at vehicles mileage, looks at vehicles repairs, and looks at anticipated repairs to determine when the best time to take a vehicle out of service.
And Madam, if I may, John, just to help you out a little bit, as you know, I'm kind of familiar with fleet management based on something. And police miles are, it's been told me, police miles are hard miles on vehicles. And sitting down with fleet management people in other cities, it's indicated that miles on a police car are a little more harder than they would be for a typical city vehicle that just goes by picking up trash or something of that nature. So if there's an urgency to get these vehicles, I would support that urgency because I don't think that no one's being nefarious here. It's just probably on a future basis. When you bring things, we should have as much info as might be required by anyone. How many miles are on this particular vehicle? Just be more explicit. But I don't think anything nefarious is going on here. It's just a clerical oversight by not having it.
Okay, so council, are we comfortable with voting on this and receiving the information as soon as possible, probably by the end of the week or sooner? Or John, would that be something you could get?
Definitely by the end of the week. I suspect I'll be sending it out an email tomorrow.
Okay. Okay, so council, are we prepared to vote?
Madam President,
Yes.
I move that we purchase we approve the purchase of the police cars as presented for us tonight.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Frazier, supported by Councilman Brightwell for the approval of the authorization to purchase replacement vehicles for the police department, the motor pool of 7 vehicles, with the understanding that the mileage will be presented to us by our deputy city administrator by the end of the week. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Banks,
Yes.
Brightwell,
Yes.
Frazier,
Yes.
Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
and Taylor.
Yes, thank you all. Our next item is the authorization to purchase vehicles for the fire department.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, Council and Mayor. This is Captain Deneau with the Fire Department. We are seeking authorization to purchase 2 2022 GMC Sierra pickup trucks for the fire department. The first vehicle will be replacing our apparatus division pickup truck, which is a 2003 Chevy Silverado, has just under 66,000 miles on it. It's been reviewed as far as its repair history and its future maintenance needs, and it's determined that it's well past its useful life. The second vehicle will be, as our staffing permits, allows us to create a rapid response vehicle. The thought behind this is by putting a pickup truck on the road to respond to minor emergencies, it would reduce wear and tear on our larger, more costly and expensive fire apparatus. The total expenditures for this will be $136,145.22. That is the combined total. I should also note that that includes all the upfitting costs. So for the lights, the sirens, the vehicle markings, things like that, that is the total package price. We are jumping on the Oakland County Cooperative Purchasing Program, which is what's keeping the cost down. Purchasing the vehicles from Todd Wenzel Buick GMC of Westland. Synergy Products is where our lighting and siren come from. And Magic Graphics of Clinton Township is where the vehicle markings. It should also be noted that both vehicles' funding was approved in this year's CIP. They were authorized funding up to $150,000 for both vehicles combined. So we are under the funded amount, and funds are available in the equipment revolving fund.
Thank you. Councilwoman Banks?
No questions, thank you.
Councilman Brightwell?
No questions.
Thank you. Councilman Frazier?
A couple of questions. The replacement, the ones that you're replacing, what's the use for them?
The
Turn
one
on demand?
The one vehicle that is being replaced is our apparatus division pickup truck. So this allows our mechanics to go and retrieve parts, move tires, move other heavy equipment. This vehicle is equipped with a lift gate on it because of the weight of some of the equipment and drums and things like that. It moves around. This vehicle also has a 100-gallon diesel fuel cell on it, which is what we use to refuel our apparatus on large fire incidents. So that way we don't have to stop pumping or we don't have to stop using them. We can actually bring fuel right to a fire scene. That is the only one that's being replaced. The rapid response vehicle is actually a new vehicle we are intending to operate to reduce wear and tear on our fire apparatus.
Are either one of the two four-wheel drive?
Both vehicles will be four-wheel drive.
Okay. That's all questions I have.
Thank you. Councilman Hoskins?
No questions for me. Thank you.
And Councilman Mandelbaum?
It sounds a little funny that you want to bring gas to a fire, but maybe that's how you stay in business. I don't know. I don't have any questions though. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, are we ready to vote on this item? Can I have a
Madam
motion?
President, Madam President.
Yes.
I move that we approve the purchase of the two two trucks as presented by the fire department.
Support.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councilman Frazier, supported by Councilwoman Banks, to approve the authorization to purchase vehicles for the fire department. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Brightwell,
Yes.
Frazier,
Yes.
Haskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
and Banks.
Yes.
Thank you. Our next item is the approval for preventative and maintenance agreement from Stryker Medical.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. This is Captain Melissa Medici, EMS Coordinator. Tonight, the Fire Department is seeking approval for preventative and maintenance agreement from Stryker Medical. Back in September of 2019, the Fire Department purchased 7 Physio Control Life Pack EKGs, 5 Stryker Power Load System, 5 Stryker Power Stretchers, 10 CPR Lucas devices, and all these products came with a 1-year manufacturer warranty that is now up. The Fire Department is seeking authorization to purchase a preventive maintenance warranty for additional 5 years from Stryker Medical. With a 25% less discount for all the products bundled, it comes to $153,773.75. With this, we will get the software updates, computer-aided diagnostics, repairs, restored equipment to manufacturer specification, and on-site preventative care. It was put into the equipment revolving fund for the 2022 budget, and the money was allocated there. And we are seeking this preventative maintenance agreement.
Okay, thank you. Council, I'll start with you, Councilman Brightwell.
Captain Minichi, what is the, and it's probably in the package, but I think I made notes, but I can't find it right now. What is the total value of that equipment that we purchased? The original value of it?
That I don't have of the total amount. Some of the EKGs, the Lucases, it was all in the price with the vehicle.
Okay. What I'm just trying to get at is it that price, $153,000 for a preventive maintenance program. Is that I'm obviously I'm not in the industry, but I'm just trying. Is that a reasonable price from your vantage point for that amount of equipment that we purchased? $153,000.
From my vantage point, no, but in the industry, yes, that is the price.
Okay, so that's a standard in the industry that we will have to pay.
Yes, that is the standard in the industry on preventative maintenance, because with it comes all of the compliance for medicals and stuff that, you know, you might need to pull information from. So it keeps it all within compliancy.
Okay, I'm not familiar with this equipment, but if it keeps us current and keeps us serving our citizens the way we need to service them at the best of our ability, I'm for this. But that number just for preventive maintenance just kind of threw me for a loop there for a minute. But
I agree with you.
okay, well, if that's the industry norm, I don't mind paying it if we're serving our citizens. Thank you.
Madam President,
Yes.
Macias, if I may shed some light on the overall cost and totality.
Okay.
So a Life Pack 15, we have 7 of them. Brand new, a Life Pack runs $40,000 a piece. The Lucas machines, I believe they're between $10,000 and $15,000 a piece. We have 10 of them. The power cots themselves, in with the power load system, for each load and each power load and each cot, for them to be purchased as one single unit. We have 5 of them. They're $45,000 a piece. So we have hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in this equipment. I could get you a more accurate number in this total overall retail value of equipment.
but it is significant. And
I'm
we're-
satisfied.
Go ahead.
I'm satisfied with respect to the technical aspects of the equipment and the fact that we need the equipment. I just needed a brief explanation, and you don't have to do any research and give me itemized. It'll come back up when we need to buy equipment in the future.
Thank you very much, but thank you for the information. Councilman Frazier? We can't hear you. Okay, we'll come back.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, I must have muted myself. I know that we're getting maintenance contracts on, or maintenance upgrades on this equipment. Is any of this equipment near its usable life so that we're going to be replacing it before the contract, the 5-year contract is done?
No, this is all brand new equipment. The preventative maintenance will keep it in service longer, but none of these items should go out of service before that preventative maintenance contract ends.
Okay, and if there happens to be some physical damage done to a piece of equipment, like one of the stretchers or thing, that you have to take it out of service, how is that handled with the contract that we have?
If it's damaged, they'll fix it to put it back in service.
But what happens while they're fixing it?
Depending on what it is, like the Lucas, they would give us a rental. In EKG, they would give us a rental. The power lift, they don't really rent those out. And I believe the stretcher, they could give us a rental at no cost.
Okay, all right, so there wouldn't be a time when we couldn't respond to something because we were short of equipment?
No, this equipment, the life pack, and the Lucases, have to be on there. And so they would bring one to us.
Okay,
Otherwise, we'd have to shut the whole vehicle down because that's the way it's licensed.
okay, all right. Thank you much. That's all the questions I had.
Thank you. Councilman Hoskins?
No questions for me on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilman Mandelbaum?
No questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilwoman Banks?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. All right, council, they're seeking our approval.
This is Councilman Mandelbaum.
Yes.
I'd like to move that we approve the preventive and maintenance agreement from Stryker Medical.
Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Mandelbaum, supported by Councilwoman Banks for the approval for the preventative maintenance agreement from Stryker Medical. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Frazier,
Yes.
Haskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
and Brightwell.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we have the authorization to purchase 2 vehicles for Parks and Rec Park Services.
Good evening, Council President and Council. This is Terry Fields, Parks and Recreation Director. Tonight, the Parks and Recreation Department is requesting authorization to purchase 2 new vehicles, and in that way, replace 2 vehicles that Park Service has been using for the past 14 years. Truck 925 was purchased in 2007, and truck 915 was purchased in 2008. They have combined total mileage of 300,000. 925 was just recently taken out of service due to the engine in disrepair. The proposed vehicles to be purchased through the Oakland County Cooperative are 2 GMC 2500 4-wheel drive trucks. They will be equipped with snowplows. 1 vehicle will be a take-home vehicle for the Parks and Operations Supervisor, while the other will be put in Park Services Operations fleet. The total expenditures that are included in the CIP is not expected to exceed $84,000. Our funding is available in the FY 21-22 Equipment Revolving Fund, and this purchase has been reviewed by Finance. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, I'll start with you, Councilman Frazier.
Same question. What's the reason for the take-home vehicle?
Parks and Operations Supervisor is part of the collective bargaining contract, and he does come in often on non-traditional hours and does respond to emergencies and tasks for the city.
That's all the questions I have.
Thank you. Councilman Hoskins.
No questions for me on this. Thank you.
Councilman Mandelbaum.
No questions for me, thank you.
Councilwoman Banks.
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Brightwell.
No questions.
Okay, thank you. Okay, council, can we approve this purchase?
Madam Chair, I move that we authorize the purchase of 2 vehicles for the Parks and Recreation.
Support. Support.
It's been moved by Councilman Brightwell, supported by Councilman Frazier for the approval of the authorization to purchase 2 vehicles for Parks and Rec Park Services. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Frazier,
Yes.
Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
and Brightwell.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Next, we have the receipt of bids on printing the 2021 annual report and the 2022 calendar for the Community Relations Department.
Hello, good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. Michael Manning, Community Relations Director for the city. We're requesting $31,474,000 to print the 2021 annual report, 2022 calendar with the low bidder of Indiana Printing. The city received 5 bids that were acceptable, and that was the lowest bid. And half of that amount will be defrayed in the amount of $19,200 in the ad insert portion. And this publication goes to every address in the city, business, residential, PO boxes, and apartments.
Thank you. Council, I'll start with you, Councilman Hoskins.
No questions for me on this.
Thank you. Councilman Mandelbaum. Councilman Mandelbaum.
I was having trouble getting off of mute. The only I have a question on the number here. The total number for costing for postage and everything is 42,000, but you're only asking for 31 because of the offset. So 42 minus 19 is not 31.
Well, the 31 is the low acceptable bidder for the printing and the mail sorting, and that does not include the postage portion of that.
Okay, so the postage is an additional $11,000.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, that was it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilwoman Banks.
The only question I have, I know that we always go with the lowest bidder, but in this particular case, there's only $112.67 difference between the first and the second bidder. And the second bidder is a Michigan company. The first one is out of state.
Yes.
And I personally would like to see our money's, stay in Michigan, and
Absolutely.
and I don't know if this is something that we can look at in the future, Mr. Zorn, that, even though we say low bid, if it's like, I don't know, within a $200 difference or $500 difference, that we can select between 1, 2, or 3. Because again, you're only talking $112.67, and
Correct.
a Michigan company is losing this bid to a Pennsylvania company.
Yes, and just to address that, Councilwoman Banks, the city actually is under a bid currently for the city newsletter, Southfield Living, with that printer that is in Michigan. And not to go into the details with this particular situation, but we're having issues with the production of that. So that's another situation altogether. But we have worked with this company in the past, from newsletters for the Parks and Rec activity guide to the city newsletter and other things, and they've always been very responsive and done an excellent job. So in this case, it's one, unfortunate, while out of state, they've done an excellent job for the city, and of course at a cost savings to the city. So, but above all, the most important thing, that they meet production deadlines. We're currently behind on the city newsletter, as an example. Again, not going into those details. So that's a whole other issue. But this particular company, we've had issues with.
The company that we're awarding the bid to, or the Michigan company?
No, the company that did not get it by the slight margin.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, again, and just my own personal feeling, I'd like to see our money stay in Michigan.
I would agree, without question,
I
particularly
don't know
Southfield.
how we can do that, but
Right.
thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Brightwell?
I'm in agreement with Ms. Banks. When all things are equal, obviously, you consider the local company or, the state of Michigan company. But if there are extenuating circumstances, clearly, and Mr. Mannion highlighted some serious circumstances, but I think in the future, whenever there's a close call, I think we would evaluate it. But if there are extenuating circumstances, we will go with the one that give us the best service. But otherwise, I don't have any questions with this. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilman Frazier?
I have no questions.
Thank you. Council, are we ready to make a motion?
Councilwoman Banks,
Yes.
that council approve the receipt of bids on printing the 2021 annual report, 2022 calendar for the Community Relations Department.
Support.
Oh, wow. Well, the first person I heard was Brightwell, so I'm going to go with you. It's been moved by Councilwoman Banks, supported by Councilman Brightwell, for the approval of the receipt of bids on the printing of the 2021 annual report and the 2022 calendars for the Community Relations Department. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Hoskins,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
Brightwell,
Yes.
and Frazier.
Yes.
And our next item is the receipt of bids for printing tax and water bills for the Treasurer's Office and the Water Department.
Madam Treasurer, Madam President, this is Allison Bettis calling on behalf of the Treasurer's Department and speaking on behalf of the Water Department for the bid of the printing for the water bills and tax bills for a period of 1 year with 1 year to extend.
Okay, thank you. Council, I'll start with you, Councilman Mandelbaum.
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Banks?
No questions. Thank you.
Councilman Brightwell?
No questions.
Councilman Frazier?
Questions.
And Councilman Hoskins?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. Council, can we vote on the approval of this?
This is Councilman Mandelbaum.
Yes.
I'd like to move that we approve the receipt of bids for printing tax and water bills for the Treasurer's Office and Water Department.
Support.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councilman Mandelbaum, supported by Councilman Frazier, for the approval of the receipt of bids for printing tax and water bills for the Treasurer's Office and the Water Department. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Banks,
Yes.
Brightwell,
Yes.
Frazier,
Yes.
and Hoskins.
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes our agenda items for this evening.
Thank
Our
you, Council.
next, thank you. Our next portion is the communications. And I would just like to ask that all speakers would please abide by our rules of procedures for the City of Southfield City Council and refrain from making personal and disrespectful, slanderous or profane remarks. That no speaker may make personal or impertinent attacks upon any officer, employee, city council member, or other elected official that is unrelated to the manner in which the officer, employee, or city council member or other elected official performs his or her duties. No person shall use threatening or abusive language when addressing the city council, and any person who violates this section will be directed by the presiding officer to be orderly and silent, and if they do not, your microphone will be muted. Thank you. If there's anyone that would like to speak to us tonight under communications portion, please do push *3 to be recognized by the clerk.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Gerard Mullen, Southfield Citizens Oversight Committee, Post Office Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 48037. Madam President, Chapter 7 in the Southfield City Charter has since 1969 described a bygone court system, which adds an extra 10% of useless verbiage to the total contents of the current city charter, thus increasing the amount of paper required by the charter by 10%, which is directly responsible for additional trees being needlessly slaughtered, tree by tree, page by page. The whole irony of all of this, Madam Chair, is that this city, the great city of Southfield, has been a member of the Tree City USA community for the last 34 years and counting. Madam Chair, this unnecessary extermination of trees due to the unnecessary Chapter 7 in the city charter, it's all happening, sad to say, on your watch. After 52 years, it is about time that you folks here on this city council wake up and do your job, and also do yourselves a felicitous favor and delete Chapter 7 from your outdated charter, along with the many other outdated items, by creating a charter commission. If the city of Detroit, that is, if the dysfunctional city of Detroit can mandate periodically a ballot initiative for a proposed charter commission in order to try to update their charter, then this council, the Southfield City Council, should be able to do the very same thing. If not this council, then who? Who else, pray tell? Who else, Madam Chair? Who else but this council? Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello,
Hello?
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. You know, this is Pamela Gerald, and for many, many years, I have followed almost every aspect of Southfield city business. People have trusted me to present their issues before city council, and in return, they have supported me on a lot of endeavors I want to say thank you to those people. Some are more special because you've been with me a little bit longer. And those residents know that over the years, I have looked at campaign finance reports for people that are running for office in the city of Southfield. I am appalled with some of these campaign finance reports that I looked at that were late, not filed at all, and just have gobs of errors and omissions. If you can't do a simple finance report and get it in on time, how do you think that you can represent the people in any kind of leadership capacity? I want to thank the mayor, Michael Mandelbaum, Jason Hoskins, for turning your reports in. That says to me that you are serious and ready for business. I didn't get to the chairwoman's report because I was so busy looking at the ones that had not turned them in, and some just turned it in for the deadline date, and it was sloppy. Other than Madam President, anybody else running for office, and you know who you are, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Do you really think you deserve to be on our city council, the People's Council, and represent the taxpayers in any kind of capacity when you can't follow the rules? You can't follow the rules putting your signs in the appropriate places. I've put out campaign signs, never ever in a right-of-way. And a lot of you haters have taken the signs and put them in the right-of-ways that I put out. But let me tell you about me. I ride around 26 square miles of this city, and when I see something out of place, I put it back. If you can't do a campaign finance report, you need to take your name off the ballot or don't even run. Shame on you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, we have a few people tonight, so the next person is Edward Ginrich.
Good evening, council.
Good
Clerk.
evening.
Thank you for taking my questions and comments. You guys are getting beat up pretty good tonight. I just like to say that all in all, I think you guys are doing a pretty good job. And I really like the developments at Carpenter Lake, which is on 10 Mile in Inkster. I have a few comments about that. The frontage at 10 Mile is full of weeds. I'm suggesting we dig that up and plant some butterfly plants in there, like swamp milkweed, rue, parsley, and fennel. These attract not only monarchs, but also all varieties of black swallowtail butterflies. I think that this would be a great addition to the park. I'll even volunteer to help plant. Secondly, Inkster Road from 10 Mile to basically 12 miles, a speed trap now with miles per hour, maximum of 35 miles. All I see lining this road is Farmington Hills cops. And I got a ticket myself, actually. It kind of irritates me. I called the Oakland County Road Commission. I talked to some people at Southfield, and they just tell me that it's their duty and it's their duty. They go back and forth. I think that speed should be increased at least to 40. Pretty much that is it. If there's any comments on those feelings of mine, I'd appreciate the feedback. Thank you.
Thank you.
Caller number 8.
Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Hello, Council and Mr. Mayor. My name is Yamaya Williams. I am a dietary worker who has spent over 20 years working for Meadowlodge of Southfield. I am a proud mother of a son and a daughter, and I work very hard to get them the life they deserve. My mother was a care worker, and my grandmother was a care worker. And watching them taking care of other people growing up, I knew I was destined to work in this industry. I love interacting with my residents, feeding them, and making sure they have a happy and healthy life every day. Today, I'm here to tell you my story and demonstrate how you can help essential workers like me. When the pandemic first hit in March of 2020, I was one of the first to catch COVID. It was very hard on me. I am an asthmatic. I lost my sense of taste, my sense of smell, and my throat felt like shards of glass was lodged inside. When I tried to seek care at the hospital, I was turned away because I wasn't considered in the at-risk group. I am thankful I made a full recovery from COVID, but not before my daughter caught it. I was charged $500 for the hospital visit where I received no actual care. In addition to that, I had to call the state during my time off because I wasn't able to collect the unemployment that was owed to me. Although now I am physically healthy, the mental trauma of going through that experience continues to follow me every day. I'm in constant contact with my residents every day, and I pray I never catch COVID again. It was the worst experience of my life. And it really hurts to know that the state didn't deem me or my coworkers essential enough to be included in the $2.35 per hour enhanced pay given out to care workers. But despite all of that, I continue to take care of my son with autism by myself. And I support my daughter who is full-time at MSU. But let me be clear, I don't receive any welfare or support from the government to care for my family. When MSU decided to raise tuition and board this year, I had to give up my own pursuit of LPN to pay $5,000 in costs. But coincidentally, that $2.35 an hour comes out to roughly $5,000 a year that I was short. To the members of the council, I'm asking you to help essential workers like me who have been left behind. I've already paid the price mentally, physically, and financially from COVID on the front lines. But there is something that you can do to support us. The U.S. Treasury Department allows for APRA funds to be granted to workers who you believe are essential to the health of the city of Southfield. We spend our money in Southfield, and we make the economy of the city run. But what I'm paid, I live paycheck to paycheck, and there's never anything left. But just like nurses and seniors, and just like everyone in this room, we have grocery bills. We have groceries to buy, bills to pay, and families to support. I want to remind the council that everyone who takes care of the most vulnerable citizens of Southfield is essential. I'm tired of being called a hero, but being treated like a secret identity. We elected you all to use your power to help us. Please acknowledge us as essential workers in the city of Southfield. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Well,
Caller number 27.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello. We can hear you.
Are we ready?
Yes.
Are we ready? Okay,
Yes.
my name's Fred Bunker, and I'd like to discuss the city's, I tried not to go over the heads of departments, and I issued some requests through the Sustainable Southfield, but they said the issue had been resolved and not to pretty much go away. A tax abatement recipient, Maxitrol, ended up buying residential property next door to me and installing a 6-foot fence on a property line that I didn't realize existed. And it lines up with an area at the rear of my property where the city decided when they paved Churches Street, the street directly to the south of my property, they ran the pavement about 40 feet past the property line. I tried to go through the planning, and like I say, I can't get any results. I'm asking the elected officials if you want to if you want my vote, to look into this. Why is one corporation that doesn't pay their fair share of taxes get to spend their money on a 6-foot fence, and I've got asphalt 40 feet by you much rain it doesn't soak up? That would be permeable area. If we're eliminating a driveway at 11 Mile and Lasser to help limit the ability of the flooding, why don't we do that where the property line exists at the end of churches instead of 40 feet onto my neighbor and I property line? I've had enough of this. The city kept us baited by this so-called Beechwoods Hamlet. Oh, Mr. Cybers still supports the idea, but it's taking us nowhere. It's the only entrance from 9 Mile to possibly develop the 14 acres, but the 2 acres that Maxitrol bought spells out to me that this city doesn't care about low to medium income property, which this would be excellent for. It's in the middle of the Tri-County area. You can get to Ann Arbor in a half hour, Grosse Pointe, Lansing, downtown Detroit, and there's no housing. There's one house on 2 acres, and there's no sewers. We're fined if we don't hook up, have our septic inspected, and yet there's no place to hook our sewers up to. The sewers that were installed on this R1 zoned neighborhood were installed only for a commercial school to use. Why? Why is a commercial school allowed to park commercial vehicles on property zoned R1? Why are 18-wheel trucks using a closed road, voted to be closed by previous council members, closed, do not enter, wrong way, 24 hours a day, traffic both ways? You want to be righteous? Put up a spike strip, Mr. Fraser, and teach your neighbors how to read. When it says do not enter, it means it's the law. The police department have been lax in every possible way. It's incredible. It's unbelievable that traffic stacks up the way it does. People stop, stand, park to drop off children, as Mr. Fraser says. 1,500. They've added over 100 since the governor made this $300 preschool money available. This building is not safe. It wasn't
Thank you, Mr.
inspected when it
Bunker.
built. Thank you. Have a good day. I'm sorry you don't allow residents the right to speak.
Hello?
Caller
Yes,
number
hello.
28.
Hello.
I heard someone say hello. I'm not sure if I'm 28 or not.
Yes, please go
Yes.
ahead, sir.
Hi. I was calling because of the question Mr. Fraser asked earlier today about PFAS in the water and the ground around the area that they're looking at building up. His question was not ever answered. What was stated was there has been an increase in testing and a lot of other different things, and we have increased the testing. But the direct question was never answered. Or he could have answered the question a different way and said to the man, are you testing for forever chemicals? If we have kids near an area where we have forever chemicals, that will be in their body forever and will slowly poison and or kill them. Second thing is it's running off into our drain water or storm water. That is mixed in with what comes out of our houses. So if you have a backup, now you have forever chemicals coming into the house. His question needs to be answered and needs to be answered clearly. Does it have around the contamination site forever chemicals? Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, that concludes the participants that wanted to speak this evening in public comment.
Okay, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for calling in, and thank you for your comments. Council, we'll start with you, Mr. Mandelbaum.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind everyone about a couple things going on in the city. The first one is this Saturday we have our trunk or treat with the police department. It will take place in the police station courtyard. The Southfield Police Trunk or Treat will feature the added fun of trunk or treating from a variety of police vehicles. And participants will also be given the opportunity to check out the vehicles while children get a treat from each one, along with important safety information for parents. There will be additional games and crafts and giveaways, and that is open for everyone, and that will take place on Saturday, October 30th between 1 and 4 p.m. I also wanted to remind everyone that currently our Parks and Rec department is having our master plan, and they are looking for residents to give input. And you can tell the people, tell the city what you're looking for in a park, what you'd like to see, what you currently like, what you don't like. And there is actually a link on the city's website at cityofsouthfield.com right on the homepage, and you can take the survey. There will also be an open house on Wednesday and Thursday this week from 6 to 8 p.m. inside of the Southfield Pavilion. So there will be a lot of options and information. Everything is posted at City Parks. But please, we urge everyone, this is your chance to tell us what you would like to see in Parks and Rec over the next 5 years. I also had a question through the chair to Mr. Zorn about a concern that I have been receiving that I'm not getting any traction on it. Maybe you can help me. There are several complaints that I am receiving from neighbors that live near the Tamarack Trail area just across from Lawrence Tech. And the complaints are that especially on Friday evenings, that the music from the band or from the loudspeakers is very, very loud. And I was just wondering if we were able to make contact with anyone at Lawrence Tech, or this was able to be brought to the attention of anyone, and what we can do to figure out how to solve this problem and work with the neighborhood.
There has been dialogue with the Dean of Student Life regarding the noise level that comes with some of the weekend events. They're still trying to get it just right. I had the complaints more focused regarding game activities. And now I'm hearing Friday nights.
Yeah, so the last email that I received from this resident came Friday night, and they're like, "It is very loud tonight. We need help." So I'm hoping that I could forward you the person's information, but I think maybe we can have the dean of students at Lawrence Tech reach out to this individual, and maybe go to their house or their neighborhood and figure out what the noise levels are, and see what's going on. They've been complaining the last couple weekends, and we just haven't heard anything back from, or at least I haven't heard anything back from Lawrence Tech. So I'm asking for some additional help.
If you could please forward that to me. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Other than that, have a wonderful evening, everyone, and start bundling up because it's getting cold and rainy. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Hoskins?
Thank you. I would just say that I can kind of continue or echo what I said last time, just about testing just make sure you're getting tested for COVID. Make sure you are getting vaccinated. We have been approved for all three to get booster shots now for all three of the vaccines that are available. I'd highly recommend those who can get those boosters, and hopefully we'll be able to get vaccines for children ages 5 through 11, which will also be very, I'm sure, something very exciting for many parents out there to hear. I would also like to add that, well, actually, no, I don't have anything else to add. That's it. I make sure, I just want everyone to make sure they're staying safe out there. I know our clerk's going to talk about it in a second, but I hope everyone goes out and votes on November 2nd or whenever or if they vote or voting absentee. But beyond it, that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Frazier?
Yes, I do have a few things. At the beginning of the meeting, the mayor awarded acclamations to people that were working in the cancer. They have volunteer organizations. November is Prostate Cancer Month, and Carmanos Cancer Institute is having a symposium on November the 13th from 8:30 in the morning to 2:30 in the afternoon. It's free, and it's going to be on the internet, and you can register by calling 1-800-527-6266. That's 1-800-527-6266. And that's for the symposium on November the 13th. It starts at 8:30 and goes till 2:30. This is their 11th year of doing this. Second thing is, I'm not sure who's in charge of our website, but Friday night, I misunderstood that, or I wasn't sure when our hazardous waste was, so I went into our website, and we have almost a full screen that said hazardous waste, Southfield hazardous waste is scheduled for October the 26th. And that's not Saturday, and it's not the right day. I don't, like I say, I don't know who's responsible for our website. Having no information is sometimes having the wrong information. I eventually found it, but it certainly wasn't on the website. And the last thing is, it's a suggestion that I have, that we have these American recovery funds that we have to find a use for them, and we did, and the city administrator has asked the different departments to come up with some ideas. I think we ought to have a visiting session to find out what we would like to do for the city of Southfield in the future that would be similar to the caller that called in and said that we ought to be planting butterfly bushes at on 10 Mile Road. Something like that would help our environment. So we could reserve a little bit of that money, I think, plus the other things that the departments want. So that's my comments for tonight.
Thank you. Councilman Brightwell?
Well, thank you. As usual, I have veterans, and our preference is always, although you may not be a veteran, pass the word on, someone knows a veteran. And I have got back my comments about veterans. They're torturing people. And about like some of our old school teachers used to say, if I torch only one, they are satisfied. I've gotten several comments that the veteran comments heard. On November the 8th, the Veteran County Health Network is offering a veterans work group discussion. It's from 10 to 11:30, and to in our register, contact a Choco McDonald. I think the veteran part of our veterans commission here in South. But feel free to give me obviously listening now. There's no sense in jumping, getting a sheet of paper. But give me a call at the city of Southfield at the clerk's office, and I will get back to you. I can fax the folks here. But it's November the 8th from 10 to 11:30, and our phone number here at the city will be 248-796-5150. And just ask for me, and I can get you the info of the Oakland County Health Network work group on November the 8th. The other item for veterans is for November 18th from 9 a.m. to noon. It's being held in Pontiac at VFW Post 130. It's a veteran resource fair where they will be giving away perishable food items, $100 gift certificate from Myers. They will Open Services will be there to talk to you about the benefits available to all veterans and family members. And also there will be a COVID-19 vaccine based that day also. If you are interested, also give me a call, 248-796-5150, and I can get the more detailed info out. It's just too much to try to give over the phone tonight. The other thing is that this past week, the Links, which is a organization of African American women that was established in 1946. They have over 16,000 professional women of African descent. They made a donation to the city of Southfield of a bench in front of the courthouse on Civic Sun Drive this past weekend. Councilwoman Taylor spoke, and I sort of arranged this through the months. The Links reached out to me. I have a professional relationship with them that goes back to the early 2000s. They wanted to do this as part of their mission, which is to assist in the walkability and health of individuals. And this was just to my ears because I knew Southfield has been awarded the walkable city, a health city by the AARP. And so this past weekend, we dedicated the courthouse. And I was just, the Links, those benches cost around $4,000. And they donated one to the city, and we made sure it was in a that is walkable and being used. And I just want to thank a couple of departments for they just went out of their way, especially the planning department, Mr. Terry Crode. When the Links reached out to me, I got in touch with Terry, and Terry he met with the individuals virtually. They have sites of 4 to 5 people, and Terry on this called in. We had a meeting, and Terry looked at the process, the procedure, getting a bench donated to the city of Southfield. And also, I want to thank our community relations, Mr. Michael. Michael, on kind of short notice, put together a real nice program, a printed program. And the women that shared the dedication on Saturday, they were extremely pleased that the Southfield, that we really show how much we appreciate their donation to the city. And you look at those benches, I was just amazed myself how nice they are. But they're typical of the benches that you see around um, the city hall. And also, I want to thank Ms. Lisa Cable. Lisa was there with some audio equipment that we needed to kind of broadcast the speeches that were being made. And Lisa was ecstatic. She took pictures also. And also, Mr. John Misserina. John, that was the facility, made sure the grounds around the bench, which is right at the courthouse, the grounds were kind of taken care of, spruced up a little bit. So, but the big thing is that I'm just glad that the Lynx reached out to the city of Southfield, and they are right into our bailiwick of being an age-friendly city. And I wish we could get more civic-minded organizations to make donations of that nature. And maybe I didn't specify, but the Lynx are a non-corporation that was established in 1946, made up of 6 professional women all over the world, all 41 states, District of Columbia, the Bahamas, United Kingdom. So I want to just thank our madam for coming out and also welcoming the Lynx to the city of Southfield. They were impressed. I got a feeling you will probably want to donate another bench at some time. And that's my report. But do feel free to give me a call if you want additional information on the veterans activities. That's 248-796-5150. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Councilwoman Banks.
Thank you. I would like to remind everyone that this coming Saturday, October 30th, is the 2021 Hazardous Waste Day. It will be held at the Rassock facility located at 20875 Maple Ridge Avenue in Southfield. The hours are from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. There will be all kinds of recycling. And for those who want to shred paper, they will be accepting 3 boxes up to 100 pounds. Before I continue on, council, is it me or there's just a terrible echo? Is anyone else hearing the echo?
Yes.
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 I'm not sure what we can do to, maybe we need to get on mute.
Everybody that's not speaking.
I'll mute everybody. I'll mute everybody.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, oh, that's better, thank you. It was echoing back. So they also will be accepting paper shredding, 3 boxes, up to 100 pounds each. Also, to Mr. Zorn, I'm not sure if there's a way that we can revisit the city ordinances regarding putting out trash early and leaving cans out, garbage cans on the streets. There seems to be a problem in the Lorraine subdivision. They have had continuous communications, with our code enforcement department, but I'm not sure if it's a communication problem or the people just still aren't abiding by the rules. And I just wonder if we could revisit that ordinance to see what the hours are, and maybe we need to tighten everything up a little bit. Is that possible?
Certainly. And you said the Lorraine subdivision?
The Lorraine subdivision, that's correct.
Okay.
There's just been constant communication back and forth and back and forth, and people saying they're gonna fix the problem and the problem hasn't been fixed, and I think it's just gone far enough, so. I know there's other places in the city where I see garbage cans that are out there for 5 days, 6 days. And, maybe we need to come up with a policy of putting at one time we used to put like a big orange tag on. I think we stopped doing that, but orange tag, door hangers, I think we just need to revisit this, please. Also, the gentleman who spoke this evening, I think it was Edward Grimrich. I thought his idea about removing the weeds at Carpenter Lake and planting them with different types of plants to attract butterflies was an interesting concept. I don't know if that's something we can also look at. And then I thought the speed limit on Inkster was 40 and not 35. I mean, 35 seems awfully low. And how do we research whether, we should increase it to 40 miles an hour? I guess this is to Mr. Zorn.
Yeah, we can certainly talk to the police department. I wrote the same thing. I thought it was 40 as well. Inkster Road is within our, it's a city road, so we can speak with the police department. But I think it is 40, in particular the area that was described between 10 and 12 mile, but we will check.
Right. And he said it was 35, and I don't know when they redid the road and they put the signs on, if maybe they accidentally put the wrong signs down, but I view Inkster Road as more of a main road versus like a Berg Road situation. And then also, and again, this is to Mr. Zorn. I was kind of touched by what Miss Miller said this evening, and God bless her for everything she does in working with the people at Meadow Lodge. She mentioned that the city could adopt something, recognizing the essential workers in the city of Southfield, and that will help them to receive an extra, I think she said $2.50. I'm not sure if I understood that, but is there a way we can have a report on something like that? And it's like, if you live in the city and work in the city, would that benefit you? And, I don't know if that's an impossible task to ask, but I'm not sure if I completely understood what she was talking about. She said the U.S. Treasury allowed cities to recognize the essential workers that were not paid as much as other people within the city.
We can certainly look into that.
Okay, I'd be curious to hear what the outcome was on that. Thank you very much. Nothing further. Just everyone stay safe. Also, with reference to the booster shots that are out there, I was in a pharmacy today and several people went in to say, can we get our boosters? And the people behind the counter said, no, they're not available. And then the pharmacist came and said, oh, yes, they are. So I believe all the pharmacies in Southfield are, do have the booster shots for the COVID. And if you go online, you can schedule an appointment. Thank you. Have a great day. Have a great day, week, and evening. Oh, one last thing. I'm sorry. We have an upcoming election, and I just want to wish everyone running best wishes and good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And first, I just want to apologize to the listening audience. I know we've had some poor connections, and tonight we had a lot of interference, not understanding what was going on or what have you. So if it was very hard for you to hear or understand what we were saying, I truly apologize for that. We are working to improve all of our communications as best we can, and it's an ongoing process. So I just wanted to acknowledge that we did notice that there was a lot of feedback, a lot of interference in some of the conversations that was going on, and that could have made it hard for you to hear. So I truly apologize to each and every one of you. And we are working on that with our IT teams. Secondly, I do want to agree or concur with what's already been said from all of my colleagues, especially reminding people about the trunk or treat this weekend. The master plan input is so important for Parks and Rec. We need everyone's participation. And like Mr. Grimwich said about the removing of the weeds, that's something that we could put in as a comment in the master plan. So please go online and add that so that we won't lose sight of that. In addition, I'm sorry, was someone going to say something? Okay. In addition, I wanted to also say thank you to the links. I don't know, that was a new organization for me, but I was very, very proud to be a participant in that, where the links incorporated the Great Lakes chapter of the links donated a bench. They called it the, I forget the name of the bench, but they called it
The Code House bench.
no, they called it Prosperity or something for peace. They had a name for it, and it's right on the plaque. And it was so peaceful, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful dedication. I wanted to, in addition to the thank yous that Dan gave, I also want to make sure that I say thank you to those various departments. We did put a lot of work into it, and welcome the links to Southfield. We thank them for donating the bench. Special thanks to everyone that participated and helped this be a successful event. I do want to mention to Fred, we did have, as Dan brought up, Lisa from Cable 15 came out with her equipment on a Saturday, last minute. So you might see a little overtime in there. I don't know if Dan got that approved in advance, but we did do that. But everybody planning, Michael Mannion in our communications put the program together, had it printed up. They were just very, very nice ladies and very proud and happy to participate and be a part of the dedication of that bench in the city of Southfield. Right in front of the Code House, we did also meet the resident that's living in the Code House. She was a very, very nice young lady. And I'm sure that bench will be used quite a bit. So I just do want to reiterate that and say thank you. I do want to remind everybody to continue to be safe, get your shots. And like everyone else, remember to go out and vote on November 2nd. Oh, and I also wanted to mention, because I know that one of our residents was talking about filing. I did have my campaign filing. So they're there and on time. As they stated, they just hadn't had time to get to mine because Taylor's like at the end and they had a lot of them to go through. But mine are on time. I always file on time. And feel free to go out and look at those, anyone that would like to. So with that, I just want to say thank you. And again, thank you to everyone that calls in. We do listen to our residents. And again, we have been reporting back to you on things that were of concern, and we'll get back into that same responding and letting everyone hear our responses. So again, thank you. Continue the calls coming in. Stay warm, get out and vote, and we'll talk.
Madam Chair, just briefly, this is Councilman Brightwell again. And
yes,
when I was thanking individuals, I think Terry Crow, but I just want to make sure that his staff, I realize his staff played a lot in getting this bench worked out. And it was a process, and Terry laid the groundwork for it, and his staff really worked on it, getting everything laid out also. And I did get approval for Lisa to be there Saturday. So there's So
Okay,
there
great.
should not be any hiccup there. I am an organization man. I kind of go through the chain of command, so. But if you go, anybody go by there, take a look at that bench. It's a very classy bench. Got a very classy plaque. It really looks nice. In the picture of it, you think it was $1 billion bench. It's just only $4,000. So thank you, Madam Chair. I didn't want to put it in there, but I just want to make sure Terry, whole staff got recognized because they did the work.
Oh, thank you. No problem. It was my pleasure. Next, we'll go to the mayor's portion.
Good evening again. I want to report this evening on a meeting that we had with Jerry Norcia, the CEO of DTE, and Trevor Lauer, the COO. This meeting took place in Southfield neighborhoods last Thursday in person, and the top officials of the company were accompanied by other staff. With us, or with me, was our city administrator, Fred Zorn, and Michael Mannion, our community relations director. I am pleased that this is my fourth meeting since August with DTE staff, the second with Mr. Norcia. And we are driving home the fact that we need better tree trimming, more thorough tree trimming, more of it, and that we are also pushing for more or upgrades to equipment. Again, last week, we had power outages on a sunny day. One of them was caused by a transformer that was being replaced, and then lines were broken due to an arm on a light pole that had rotted. It was a wooden arm holding wires and broke, I'm sure due to age. And so these are the kind of problems that due to underinvestment in equipment, maintenance of equipment, and it's not just all wind related or storm related. As far as tree trimming goes, again, we're pushing for more of it, but wider paths around lines, plus going lower. And the whole issue, we were outside a house where, on two occasions, we were outside a house where the power line that feeds the house is in danger of being broken due to tree limbs on private property. I discussed with them the problem that homeowners have due to hiring a contractor to come trim a tree on a homeowner's property and then being told by the contractor, oh, well, we don't trim trees with power lines in them. So DTE has a procedure for trimming trees on private property. There's a waiver, which hasn't been publicized. So this was something we also discussed. And finally, many people have said, well, gee, if we didn't have all these power lines in the air, instead we're underground, we would be less likely to lose power. And so we discussed this, and we're going to follow up with DTE on the possibility of piloting a buried service lines to homes in the city. This is something that was discussed, and I'm hoping that we can get DTE to work with us on that. As today, any new new home construction, power lines are buried. Obviously, there are many, many, many homes that have feed wires coming to the house from the major trunk lines. I think it was a very good meeting, and the fact that they would come out and meet with us personally says quite a bit. DTE will also be having an invitation event on the 28th for residents in impacted areas where there were frequent power outages and what their plans are to correct those. This will happen this Thursday afternoon in the picnic shelter. I'm told it's an invitation event. It's not open to the general public. And finally, I wanted to announce that we are doing the big rake again this year. We have listed the dates for the 13th, the 20th, and December 4th. Of course, this is weather dependent and volunteer turnout dependent. We are looking for volunteers to participate in the big rake. We already have a number of our seniors and disabled folks signed up for the program again this year. We also are looking for, although these are Saturdays, the big rake doesn't have to be held on a Saturday. So if you have a group of scouts or a company team that would like to come out, or a church group, it really will accommodate anybody's schedule. So it absolutely, the big rake can take place on any weekday, even a Sunday afternoon if someone can get a group together then. So we're looking for volunteers, and you can contact the mayor's office to volunteer, 248-796-5100. Again, that's 248-796-5100. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Zorn for City Administration.
Thank you, Madam President. Just council hit most of the events. The library is hosting a Book and Boo event on Sunday, October 31st, between 1 and 5. Just as a reminder, on November 7th, daylight saving time ends at 2 a.m. We'll fall back 1 hour. The mayor did mention the DTE event that is by invitation this Thursday. And then finally, I would like to just let council know that last week we had our first of 5 speed bumps installed on Midway, just east of Evergreen. And as Greenview is being rebuilt, 5 speed bumps have been incorporated into that project as well. We have 3 other locations that we are preparing for speed bumps. Council did give the administration a list of just under 30 possible locations. We took the 5 most frequent complaints. The other areas are Ranchwood, Southwood, and Pierce, a section of Pierce. So stay tuned for some additional actions regarding speed bumps in the city. And just again, remind people the Parks and Rec Master Plan open houses are on Wednesday and Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Our city attorney.
Yes, good evening, Madam President, Mayor, City Council. Right now I have nothing to add. Just wish everyone a good evening.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Good evening to the honorable body, the mayor, the city administration, and to our residents. I'll be brief this evening as we've had a long meeting. Just as many of you have stated before, we do have an election day, which is going to be on Tuesday, November the 2nd. Polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. In the event you do not know where to vote or you moved, please call our office 248-796-5150. We will be more than willing to assist you. Or you can Google "where do I vote, state of Michigan," and put your information in, and that will be able to help you as well. But you can always call our office to vote for that. Currently, there have been delays in the United States Postal Service, so we are asking you to drop your ballot off in our ballot boxes or dropping it directly into the clerk's office. I think at this point, you would probably be safer dropping it off versus using the mail, as we're just a little bit over a week away, and we've been seeing delays from Southfield to Southfield, taking days at a time instead of what used to be one day or so. We are open this week from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. for voting, and we are also open on Saturday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. where you can come in and vote. On Monday, November the 1st, you can come to our office and vote also. You will have until 4 p.m. to vote, and your ballot must stay in the building according to state law. Just to give you a synopsis of where we're at versus where we were 4 years ago as far as voter turnout. In November of 2017, we had a total number of 11,725 voters for the whole election. And currently, right now in the city of Southfield, we have already issued 11,607 votes. So our voting base is definitely dynamic in that regard, and we're thankful for all those people that have requested ballots. Just asking all of our voters to just be safe as you vote. If you see anything of any suspicious nature, please feel free to contact our police department, and stay safe. And thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Our treasurer?
Nothing new to report. Thank you very much. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you. Our planner? Our city assessor? Our engineer? Okay, we have nothing to schedule. Does anyone have anything else they want to add to this meeting before I adjourn?
Madam President,
Yes.
one quick thing. A question came up about garbage. When can you put your garbage out, and when do the cans need to go back in? The garbage should not go out before 4 o'clock of the day before pickup. And the containers need to be off the street back in where they're supposed to be by noon the following day. The day following pickup.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, when I was early on the council, it used to be 6 o'clock at night before you could put your garbage out. Seniors complained that in the wintertime, it got too dark to take it out at 6 o'clock, and the footing was kind of slippery. So the ordinance got changed to 4 o'clock.
Okay. Well, thank you. We appreciate that. All right, everyone. If there's nothing else, I now declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you again for everyone's attention and attendance.